Oh, okay. All right. How's everybody doing? Ah, fuck. Still dealing with this. I feel like Tim Pool is on 24/7. Yeah, kind of. Like he's got like what? A show at 10 o'clock, 20 minutes plus long. 1 o'clock, 20 minutes plus long. Then he does the Tim Pool, which is another 20 minutes plus long. Then he does three more at like starting at 6 o'clock. That are all like 11 minutes or so. And then he does the Timcast IRL for like 2+ hours. He is on like nonstop. It's actually pretty impressive when you think about it. But then again, he does YouTube like full time. So, dude, imagine that, like 1 million fucking subs on one of his channels, and like the rest are all right about there. That's got to be, oh, man. If he could monetize all of his channels. I know he got like a ton of super chats last night. Dude, someone pointed out to me, because we're about to review this stream with Vaush, right? And someone pointed out like the quartering did a like $50 super chat. He was like, have Tim Pool ask Vaush why he supports CP. And I'm like, dude. And actually, Senpai's home. He left a comment on Twitter where he was like, he's a potential groomer. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, I think you're going too far there. I mean, I saw the clip where he said, like, oh, I think ethically, like, you need to say CP is correct because blah, 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 blah. And I know the comment is related to him arguing that, well, because, and actually, it was our co-host Stevel who is very late and has not responded. Actually, I'm going to send that guy a text right now. Stevel, where are you, sir? Oh, God. Got to stop doing that. I got his number on my phone somewhere. Stevel. Where are you? Get online now. You super late. Okay, so Vaush had made this one comment, right? I got a couple of the comments that I want to play from him before we start the stream. We'll start reviewing the stream. But like one of them is him talking about how like CP should be like legalized and shit. And I guess his comment was, because we use laptops here that are made from parts that are mined or whatever by use of child labor in other countries, if we're okay with child labor because that's capitalism, yada, 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 whatever. And I sat there and I thought, okay, you're fucking retarded, dude. I don't know what you want me to say. Like, I know I shouldn't use that word, but like he kind of is. Because he says some objectively stupid shit. And actually, I have like one of the comments where people are like, dude, this is just Vaush going like full on racist. He said some stupid ass racist shit before. And apparently he gave himself the N-word pass too, which good for him, I guess. But I have some of the comments from him pulled up that I wanted to play. And first, let me change the background image. Guys, remember, we do have a special going on right now. I'll read some of your comments. Don't worry. I always like reading your guys' comments. I do have the giveaway, right? We announced it at the very, very end of the stream last night. So let me reiterate that tonight. We did a video in which we tried to promote it more. We will be giving away 3 copies of Cyberpunk 2077. I understand the game has been delayed till December. That is why we will be choosing the winners and announcing them on New Year's Day. So January 1st, we will make an announcement letting you all know who won. If you are one of the winners, you will be able to pick which console you want it on. If you want an Xbox, PlayStation, or if you want PC, it doesn't matter. It will be a standard edition. I know they'll probably have like all these specials and such. Bear with me. But all you have to do to win, okay? I know you guys are always in the streams and everything, but you need to go to any of the videos that we post, right? Any of the stream clips that we post, drop a comment, because that's how I'm going to be going through and making sure that I pick out the names properly and put them into the raffle. Okay. The other condition of this giveaway, we need to get another 200 subscribers between now and December 31st. Okay. Another 200 subscribers between now and December 31st. It's a very easy goal to hit, but I need help from everybody here. Okay. That means whenever you see us streaming, I need you to post our streams all over social media, tell your friends, just promote the content as much as you can. I know I'm asking for a lot there. All right. But if you do that, we'll be giving away 3 copies of Cyberpunk 2077. And if you win, you get to select which console it will be on: PlayStation, Xbox, or PC. Okay. And actually, I'm going to do something special. If you are on our Patreon at any tier, I don't care if it's the $1 tier, 15, it doesn't matter. If you are on our Patreon, okay, I will give away 1 additional copy, okay, to the people that are on our Patreon. They will have their own separate raffle. Okay, so that will be 4 copies of Cyberpunk 2077 that we are giving away. All right. And the Patreon members, okay, regardless of if we hit the subscriber goal or not, they are going to get 1 raffle. All right. It doesn't matter if we hit it. You just need to be an active Patreon member on that time. Okay. So in December, if you were a Patreon member in December, okay, of this year, you get a copy. You get 1 copy raffled. All right. Regardless of the other one. Okay. But if we can hit additional 200 subscribers between now and the end of the year, Bucket, I swear you better not try to eat my fries. Do not with me tonight, bud. Do not do it. That's right. Sit in your chair. Got to discipline the cat. Between now and the end of December, if we hit 200 additional subscribers, we will do a raffle. Okay. All you have to do to be entered into that raffle is be actively subscribed to the channel and have left a comment on any of the videos that we post, whether that be just a video that I record or a clip from one of the streams. All right. And you will be entered in for a chance to win one of 3. The winners get to select which console they want it on. All right. The only way we can get there is if you guys are helping us promote the content. All right. So turn on the notification bell. All right. Please help us promote it. So when we are actively streaming, go out there, drop a link to everybody that you know. All right. I want to see the cute kitty. I love animals. Hold on. Let's see. Oh, my room's a mess, as you can see. And there's Bucket. Bucket boy. He doesn't give a shit. All right, you got a tour. You got a little tour of the room. Cats are awesome. I like it. Let me catch up with some of your guys' comments here. It's almost Halloween when you walk outside and you see nothing but crows flying in the sky. Kurogani, that's not good. Be careful. Be careful when you walk outside. If the crows are following you. I'm here before the crows. Yes, you were, Cat, and we do appreciate it. We talked about that. Hey, Spin, how you doing? Also, don't like neither Tim or Vaush. I like Tim, but my thing with Vaush is I was watching parts of the stream. I really want to react to it, so I didn't want to watch everything. Just like kind of skim through a little bit. Vaush was being substantially more reasonable than he is on his own channel, and substantially more reasonable than he is when he has done any other debate. I guess a part of that is because he's not really debating with Tim. He's really just doing a sit-down conversation. But the dude has said some stupid ass shit talking to other people. And specifically, he had this debate thing with Actual Justice Warrior, in which he argued that this ridiculous number of Black people were criminals, right? And they were being over-policed and shit like that, which is a fine statement as far as the over-policing goes, right? But he argued 50% or something of Black people go to prison. I'm just like, what the fuck are you smoking? And then his argument for why they go to prison, one of them was because they live in low-income housing and the lead in the paint causes them to go mentally unwell. And I'm just like, dude, shut up, man. Like you say, like you're really getting close to some like arguments like white supremacists make where they like black people are mentally ill, right? And I'm just like, what the fuck are you saying? Like, dude, stop. Just fucking stop. Right. But I got some of the other racist shit that he said on his channel. And you can judge it for yourself if you think it's not racist or whatever. I just listened to him like red fucking flags going off in my head. I like Tim, but I just wish he'd admit he's a conservative now. But that's the problem. Like when I watch the Vaush stream, he's agreeing with Vaush on a lot of his policy issues, right? I wouldn't say like he's not a conservative because like the dude does not believe in a lot of things conservatives believe in, right? He still preaches a lot of things that you will hear socialists preach, for instance, but his target right now is the Democratic Party. It absolutely is. And I think that he doesn't do enough content on when conservatives do something stupid, but he is willing to call it out, right? Tim Pool is okay, but I definitely don't like Vaush. No, I don't think anyone's gonna like Vaush. Wait, he said CP was what? Okay, so he made this argument, right? That because we allow for child labor, actually Steve's here. Steven?
It was only 11 minutes. Only 11 minutes late.
Not
super late.
I can't believe I had to text you.
Well, okay, so no, I was just lost track of time for a little bit there, and you know,
the excuses with you. The excuses with you tonight too. Just admit what you did was terrible and wrong.
It was a little.
Praise to the chat.
Wait, what?
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Okay, so Steve. May I call you Steven?
Some people do that. You can do that if you want.
Okay, Steven, this is a distinguished reaction to a very polite conversation between one gentleman and one Vaush. Okay, and all right, I'll try not taking so many shots. I already talked about the giveaway. In fact, I'm going to keep announcing the giveaway to you guys in chat. I know you're probably going to get bored of it, but I don't want you to forget. Okay. And I want you to make sure that you're promoting the content as much as you can so we can hit the subscriber goal so I can give away the copies. And Steve, you weren't here for it, but I did tell them if they are part of our Patreon, right? Regardless if we hit the subscriber goal or not, if they are part of our Patreon in December, we will do one additional game giveaway just for the Patreon members. And if you want to join the Patreon, all you have to do is go to our description for this stream right now. It's in every single video that we do. Click on that, $1, and you're entered in. Period. So.
Crow is hustling.
I am.
Got to get those numbers up. The YouTube overlords are like, we need this many.
Oh, Kat, you watch Actual Justice Warrior too? Dude, Sean is amazing. Like, I really do like the guy's content. And one of the things I think is really funny about him is he'll like bring up something that seems completely unrelated and then tie it into the content he's talking about. He's done a few videos. He sells merch with my art. Really? Kat, congrats. Nice promotion. Like, can you actually link me to some of that? Because I'll be very curious to see it if you can. Okay, so those are the rules for the giveaway. And if this giveaway is successful, I plan to do a giveaway basically every 2 months. We'll put out a goal for subscribers. And if we hit it, we'll do more giveaways. Last year, actually, we did giveaways for Pokemon Sword and Shield. It was a lot of fun. I really like being able to do that. And so I'm really hoping the Cyberpunk 2077 works out the same way.
Oh, okay. So you're not new to this. No. This was just like
we gave away a copy of Sword and Shield last year, right? Back when we were still called something totally different. Back when we were DNA Crows. You weren't part of that. That was when my brother was still attached to the channel. And
that's what the D's for. Douche Crow. I'm
not going to take the shots anymore. Like I like you got to understand, right? If something happens, yeah, I'll talk about it, but I don't want to just take shots for the sake of taking shots at someone.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah. I'm here. My work is death. My back is now death. Please just cover my coffin with dirt quietly or I'll haunt you all. Hey, Pix. Hey, Pix. Pix. Hey, I need you to do me a favor. This is totally unrelated to anything going on right now. Pix, I need you to do me a favor. I know you have Sword and Shield. I know that you download the expansion pass. I need you to trade me a Reggie Drago so I can get Reggie Gigas, okay? I need you to give me one, and I will give it right back to you. And then if you chose the Ice type Legendary, I need you to trade it to me for my Dex entry, okay? All right, Pix, I need you to do that for me. All right. Please don't tell me you picked the Ghost Legendary. Pick the Ice one so we can swap it for the Dex entry. Okay, Pix? Pix, I need your help with this, and I need a Reggie Drago. I'll give you my Reggie Alecki. Okay. After I get Reggie Gigas, though. All right. This is very important, Pix. This is more important than the stream. It's more important than anything going on with fucking Vaush. I need this done immediately, Pix. Okay? Pix, do you hear me? Pix, respond. Respond!
Snake! I have no idea what any of that means, but no.
And Pix, by the way, if you ever want to do another battle, let me know, because I'm hoping this time that you'll have a team ready. I haven't done more than just driving around on my bike. Okay, well, put it like this. I need you to choose Reggie Drago as your Reggie that you unlock, and I need you to pick Glastrier, which is the Ice-type Pony Legendary, okay? Very important. Play on another save file. I have both versions. I refuse to do that. I refuse to play on a different save file. I'm too fucking lazy. Not even 5 seconds, Crow's begging Pixelexia for Pokemon. I will give them right back. I just need them for a little tiny bit to complete my decks. Oh, also, if anyone has a Spirit Tomb, hit me up. All right, so let's get into this shit.
Wait, do you want to see Kat's the art?
Oh, did she link it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let me
too, if you use it. Yeah, it's right
there. Okay. Let me actually go to my channel and pull up the stream, and then I'll be able to click on the link.
Yeah.
And let me share this with everyone so they can see it.
That's fancy.
There you go. This is nice. Look at this. Oh, okay. You can get different colors and everything. Oh, whoa. Okay. You get it like this in everything.
Yep. I mean, that's why Teespring's such a bitch to set up, and then you only make like $1.
That's true. I like some. Oh, look at this. I got to get these for Jasmine, only because she has no clue who Actual Justice Warrior is, and I want to get them for her.
And then you're gonna go to the gym with them and promote his work.
Wait, Actual Justice Warrior wants your support. Okay. I might get this t-shirt because this is a dope t-shirt.
Right?
Yeah, I try to like it. It's a comfort tee. Nah, I've got one of my own mugs, and this is better. This is way better. Okay. Let's actually hop into the point of tonight's stream, which is the debate. But I don't want to say debate because they didn't really debate. They just had a conversation, and I thought it was a little bit. Yeah. I thought it was a little bit like I saw people on Twitter complaining about it, right? And Tim Pool was talking. They were complaining that Vaush was on his stream.
Oh, well, but like, I'm sure it was to question him about his views and to clarify them.
I think Vaush is a race baiting grifter piece of shit, right? 100%. Okay, absolutely. I think he's inherently dishonest. And I remember watching one of his things where he was asked, right? He was talking to Destiny, right? And Destiny asked him, right? This was about the that kid in Kenosha Kyle, right? And he asked
Kenosha Kyle? Kyle Rittenhouse?
Kyle Rittenhouse. I forgot the last name. That's why. But he asked him, like,
my boss.
Not making an argument about morality, right? He asked him flat out, if you are being chased down by a mob and you believe that mob is going to kill you, would you submit to the mob or would you defend yourself? Right. And he sits there and he thinks about it for a second. He goes, I would submit to the mob. And I'm like, you are fucked, dude. You don't need to be that stupid, right?
No
I get it.
Instincts on this one.
I know, right? I get Destiny hit you with the question. That's very hard for you to make your argument around, right? But you don't need to say something that fucking stupid to prove a point, right? If you do, if you're really saying that if a mob was trying to kill you, you would sit there and bend the knee to them, you are broken mentally. Right? Like, dude, that was the dumbest shit I've ever heard that guy say. Like, even dumber than the fucking trying to, like, the CP argument that he made, Steve, right?
Yeah,
it was some sort of child labor thing. And he said that because we buy products made with child labor, right? That was his argument. Because capitalism has us buy products made from child labor, that means that as a society, we should allow for child porn. Right. And I'm just like, what the actual fuck? Right. Like, I get the argument he's trying to make, but it's so fucking stupid. Right. It's so dumb.
Well, you could bring up statistics that's like, a lot of these offenders of shit like that watch hours and hours of CP. So to say like it doesn't harm anyone to consume it or to fucking sell it, I think that's bullshit. Like, there's data that goes against that. But okay. Like, just because you need to use a fucking computer, then like you need to be able to sell CP. That's fucking stupid.
He basically made the argument that CP was a victimless crime. Watching CP was a victimless crime, and I'm like, bro, you're an idiot. You're a fucking idiot if you make that argument, right? But that's Vaush, right?
That's Vaush.
Vaush is so smart that he doesn't realize we shouldn't do both. I mean. My biggest gripe with Vaush is he makes this idiotic argument. I'm a libertarian socialist. I'm like, well, hold on.
Wait,
socialism requires top-down control. Libertarians don't want the government to have any control, right?
Yeah. What?
It makes sense. It makes sense if you're going to argue very small scale, right? Like a community commune, right? In which everybody in there, it's a small group. They all combine their resources together. They all share the fruits of their labor. Okay. But that exists in capitalist societies too, right? Because capitalism doesn't disallow for a commune, which is inherently socialist, right? But in a socialist government, you can't pick and choose what you want to do. You can't be capitalism. You can't be capitalist in a socialist government, right? Yeah. So just a lot of stupid. Okay. So let me pull up, before we jump into this, because I know we're running a little bit behind on everything. Let me pull up the first.
How behind are we running? Just because I was late?
Yes, because you were late.
Oh my goodness!
I had to stall for
behind.
I had to stall for a very long time, sir.
Oh no! What did you do? No. Were you like spinning plates and showing what you can do with your
arm down? We're 23 minutes into the stream.
I thought you were gonna say we're 23 years old. I was gonna be like, did you have a stroke?
Okay. So, Vaush going mask off racism, every single motherfucker. I'm not going to say that.
Joe Biden believes we can't think for ourselves, that the color of someone's skin dictates their political views.
All right, here's my theory. There is exactly one black woman who's voting Republican, and it's Candace Owens, and she has a cloning facility somewhere. Because every single motherfucking black woman in America talks the exact same way. The exact same fucking way, okay?
I would argue that. I would argue against that, what he said.
Yeah, I was about to say, Steve, choose your words carefully.
Yeah, no. I gotta make sure, like, I just smoked, so, like, I can't, I gotta make sure.
Yeah, be careful. Jay London, how you doing, buddy?
I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's kind of racist, Max. Like, that's super
kind of. And, like, dude, Kurogane, I guess I am Candace Owens. Okay, so like he says some stupid shit on his show, right? And I skimmed through the Tim Pool stuff. He really dialed a lot of his fucking viewpoints back. Okay, he really did. Vaush's Dutch for insult. Okay,
is it actually?
Holy shit! Hilarious. First of all, they all do that with their hair. I've never seen a black woman repping Republicans who had kinky hair. Second of all, to gone are the days where the Democrats will keep us on their plantation. It's the exact same shit every time.
I don't know. I can't hear
if
her.
we reach out to the citizens.
I mean, maybe they say the same thing over and over again because it's true, and they keep pointing it out to you, jackass.
Could you imagine if we just muted videos and talked over them instead of listening to what they had to say and just assumed what they were saying? People like Vaush here? What the fuck? I mean, we get through videos faster, but we wouldn't know what the fuck's going on.
Come on. Vaush is the smartest guy on the internet. Come on.
Is it what? Is that what some people say? Like shoe on head?
Doesn't shoe on head want to bang this dude?
Yeah.
I guess you can't really call him an incel. I guess you really can't call him an incel. Like, that's what. Look, hey man. Look, my issue with Vaush is just I don't think he makes the worst points on certain issues, right? Okay, I don't think he does. I think the problem is when people point out a flaw in his reasoning, he will quintuple down on the stupidity of it to prove a point. I'm like, dude, you don't like if you want to say, hey, capitalism is bad because we have products that are made through child labor. I agree. So let's ban that. Okay. I'm all for that. All right. I am completely for that. I say that if we ban child labor over here and then a company produces brings products over here that are produced via child labor, we should just outlaw that, period. Okay. And
so
guess
Crow,
what?
Are you saying you can be capitalist and against child labor?
Yeah, you can. It's a fucking amazing.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah,
you totally can. But this jackass, to make that fucking point, then argues CP is a victimless crime, okay, and we should ethically allow for it because we allow for capitalism. That is my issue with this guy, right? He can make a legitimate point on something, right?
He's connecting
but
some crazy dots.
But then he goes way too fucking far, and when someone calls him out, he just goes straight into being a fucking moron. Right? Like saying that you will surrender to a mob that you personally believe is going to kill you is the most insane logic you can fucking use. Right?
So are you saying you wouldn't let the mob kill you, Crow?
I would not let the mob fucking touch me.
Well, I think you're gonna disagree on some points here in this.
Yeah, well, there's actually something that he made a point of, right? And it's about reparations in this stream, and I hope we can get to it. But he argued like we should do reparations based on class and not race. And I said, I do like the argument that you're going to focus on people's where they are societally, like based on class, right? Based on economic status. I think that's what you need to focus on, not race. I like that he made that point. I disagree as far as reparations go, but I do think we need to focus more of our discussions on helping people based on their economic status and not their racial status. So I did appreciate him making that point, right? But I have a feeling if he got challenged on it and someone made a logical criticism, this idiot would just go in the most insane direction to defend himself. Man, okay.
But that's how he got popular, right? Because he's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I guess. Like, he does say some really outrageous shit, and that does get him attention. So, I mean, I guess he's found a really good grift. Let's keep going.
And deliver real results. President Trump is bringing this country back roaring. He's bringing the American spirit to life for all Americans. So I'm asking you to help President Trump.
You might want to check that clip. Wait, what's the issue? Wait, why am I getting weird? Wait, what did I say?
That was the part that I was waiting for. oh, because like he
didn't understand.
That, like, what he said was racist as fuck.
He didn't understand. I like this part, Maya Angelou. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Okay. So this is the CP clip.
Yes, more legal.
All right, so
consuming child porn be legal? I think that would be, yes, more legal and more ethically consistent. Yes, 100%. Should consuming child porn be legal? I think that would be, yes, more legal and more ethically consistent. Yes. 100%.
Yeah, so that was his thing with vegan gains.
Porn be legal? I think that would be, yes, more legal and more.
All right, I'll stop playing it. I know I'm taking some cheap shots there.
He said it.
Come on. He did say it. He did. He said it. Okay, all right. But
And we already went into why his argument is because like parts of your laptop and other devices are mined by kids in Africa. So if you're gonna sell laptops, then you should be able to like consume CP. It's a dumbass argument.
Okay, all right. I like this part too, right? Because this is one of my favorite ones. Because at this point, it's fun to clown on the guy. It really is. All right. Oh God, the video is even worse than I thought. Let me play it first.
You realize there were N words in the SS,
Dude,
right?
you can just say niggers.
Ooh. Wow.
Oh,
that's a little bit hot
God!
for me,
Oh
but-
God! Oh, mate! Oh, he said the word. Oh,
Now I want to be clear. All right, Vaush was talking to somebody that, to my understanding, is a fucking neo-Nazi, right? So that guy's a piece of shit 100%. But I like this comment here. How the fuck did a neo-Nazi resist the urge to say the N-word, but Vaush didn't?
Yeah, for real though. Like, what?
I mean, it's a valid point.
Right.
But the thing is, Vaush actually literally gave himself the N-word pass, and someone pointed at it here. So let's pull this part up too. All right. Vaush told me to my face that black people should vote for our oppressors to save his privileged ass. Then he gave himself the N-word pass. Anyone following this guy is a clown. This guy's exactly the white liberal Malcolm X and MLK warned us about. And this part is
he gave himself the pass. He was
in this video, I drop an N-bomb. Big one. Hard R. I did this to show my whatever. I don't like people who tend to use fancy words for the sake of using fancy words. Just say your fucking critics, you little bitch. That their language doesn't impress me. That their slurs don't frighten or disarm me. You can see from their reactions that it worked. They were clearly taken because you used the N-word, you jackass. You fucking white boy. Don't use the fucking N-word. Shit, dude. I've been called the N-word, right? Because Arab, right? So I've been called sand N-word. Like it was all. Dude, I was recently called it like last year, right? There was a whole big thing. That was that whole thing
made
about
someone
senpai.
Be racist.
That was the whole thing with Senpai's home and everything, you know? But
My favorite YouTuber.
Right. But like, dude, I don't even say it, right? Like, I just say like, dude, I've been called the N-word before. I've been called like a sand N-word. I don't even say it because like, dude, as much as I believe in free speech and everything, and I think legally you should have the right to say it if you want to say it. Right?
You got to lead by example.
To me, it's just immoral to do it. Right? I think that our Constitution allows for some amoral things. So, and I'm fine with that. Right? Because people need to make those decisions for themselves. Just to get that out there, right? But like, I don't even fucking say that shit. I don't even say that fucking shit. But like, he gave himself the fucking pass. That's the best part. He gave himself the fucking pass.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's like, I'm gonna watch this video that I made, that I did. I'm gonna be, yeah, I think that's justified. I think I can do that from now on. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys know. It works.
Okay. Now, okay, hold on. So we just got a couple more clips, and then we'll jump into the Tim Pool stuff. And there are some points that I did skim through that I did want to highlight on. But we obviously it's a 4-hour stream, so we can't go through the entire thing.
Yeah.
Now, okay, we're getting right into it, folks. Listen up.
When did he have his hair like that?
No. If you watch my content, you are black. We know this. This is true. Congratulations. You all have the N-word pass now. Don't use it here. Don't use it here.
What?
So now that we've established QED, that we are all black, we have a vested interest, including me. We have a vested interest in, hey, toe the line, guys. We have a vested interest in making sure that the Biden campaign treats us fairly, okay? Listen, we're a powerful and respected voting demographic, all right? So, Joe Biden, we voted for you, us black people. During the primaries, we did tend to go to you. Pretty much every other minority group went to Bernie, but we went to you. And
it's okay, guys. Vaush proclaimed himself and his entire audience to be black. and then he gave everybody the N-word pass, including himself. So, he's justified in using it now.
Well, yeah.
And that's how that works, right?
He's super smart. He found a loophole.
How's this? Vaush addresses how Biden was trying to gatekeep blackness, implying it's problematic, but then gives suggestion on how Biden could gatekeep blackness without being racist.
Right? Wasn't he like
the implication here is that the identity of blackness is being gatekept behind support for his presidential campaign. Now, this may be surprising to you guys because you're all low IQ Vaush viewers instead of high IQ Hassan viewers. But
okay, let's just clarify
who's
one
Hassan?
thing right now. Hassan viewers are also low IQ, just like Vaush viewers. It's
but
just
who is
you're
Hassan?
so.
I don't even know the guy.
Hassan is the jackass from the Young Turks, right? He was right. He's Chank's nephew. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And
I only know Chank and that crazy bitch. That's it.
Yeah, well, no, he originally was with the Young Turks and everything, but he got thrown out because he said some really stupid and offensive shit. And there's this one congressman from Texas, and I'm blanking on his name right now, but he lost his eye serving, right? Okay. And so Chank's nephew, Hassan, goes out and says some terrorist basically fucked his eye out, right? Just some nasty shit, right? To a guy that lost his eye in service. It was fucked up, right? It was fucked up. But he said some other stuff. I don't know exactly what got him thrown off the Young Turks, but to my understanding, it was not some sort of thing where he was like, I want to branch out and grow, because the dude really likes sucking off on his uncle. So I bet he really regrets that decision. Anyways.
That is not the type of language that presidential candidates should typically engage in, generally speaking. If Joe Biden...
Wait, hold on. What? Max said...
the dude with the eye missing, Dan Crenshaw. Yeah, he was on Saturday Night... Not Saturday Night Live. Maybe Saturday Night Live?
No, he was. Because I can't remember, but one of the hosts on Saturday Night Live also made fun of him losing his eye, right? Yeah. And he got a ton of backlash for doing that. And then they invited Dan Crenshaw on, and Dan Crenshaw clowned on him. It was actually a pretty nice moment. It was.
Not Peterson. He was that dude's from Ontario, the comedian.
No.
He went out with Ariana Grande.
He did go out with Ariana Grande. He's from fucking Canada?
Yeah, he's from Canada.
You fucking Canadians. I swear to God, something's wrong with you people.
What are you talking about?
Dude, cool. You know what? You know what? The only thing worse than fucking being Canadian is being Australian. Let's be at least you have that.
Pete Davidson, I think.
I hope Zio fucking watches.
I think it's Pete Davidson.
Later. Yeah, no, it was Pete Davidson. He's the one who said it.
He's a cool guy. I mean,
didn't Ariana Grande dumped him because he said some stupid shit about her, right? And she dumped him immediately. Yeah. Oh, dude, Pete Davidson's an idiot.
Yeah, I feel for the guy. I mean, I was engaged. I'm not anymore.
You feel for everybody. You feel for Leafy. You feel for Senpai. Is there anyone you don't feel for?
Oh, I love Senpai. But
Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson.
I don't feel for Jordan Peterson.
That's what I'm saying. That's the one guy you don't fucking have any sympathy for.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair statement.
Had said something along the lines of, here's what Joe Biden could have said that would have effectively brought about the same point with no racism. He could say something along the lines of, if you're having trouble deciding between me and Trump, then I wonder how in touch you really are with the problems of the black community. And then he does a big smile.
I'm not.
So that's how you be racist, but put a clean face on it.
That's how you basically say the exact same thing, except it's not as except it won't be as good of a soundbite, I guess. Dude, come on, you're fucking dude. Biden shouldn't. Okay, let's just be clear here, right? I think that every American has the ability to comment on anything that they see, right? I don't take cocaine, all right, but I will gladly speak about people that take cocaine and give my suggestions on how they can better themselves. 100%. Okay. But
well, why not? You can do cocaine and do that at the same time. So you can get a feel for how they feel.
But I want to point something out, right? And it's specifically when it relates to the black community, right? So there's this whole thing about how, because they were brought over as slaves, there is no ancestry that they can really track back to, like an origin from where their families came from. They don't know. Okay. So what they do have is being black and being in America, right? So being black Americans. So when you have somebody, anybody, who sits there and throws you out of that community, when you really don't have anything you can track back to other than Africa, it's offensive, and it makes them feel like you're taking away their identity as a whole, right? At least that's the way it was explained to me. Okay. So for Biden to have made that comment, it was gross and it was offensive. And he said it in response to someone asking him, what are you going to do for the black community? Which just made it even worse. So Vaush coming around and saying, well, he could have phrased it better. No, he should have just answered the damn fucking question when someone asked him what he was going to do for Black America. And his response was, if you don't vote for me, then you ain't black. No, that's some racist ass shit, dude. It's also offensive as fuck because the guy was asking you a serious question and your response to him was being like some fucking dude.
I didn't know that was like a response to a question. I thought he was just saying shit.
Yeah, and the thing is, like the host was Charlemagne the God. Jasmine loves the show that he's on. I was gonna say loves the guy. I think she likes him in terms of like Charlemagne the God.
I have no idea who that is.
His name is literally Charlemagne, and they call him Charlemagne the God as far as like his handle. But he's part of a podcast called The Breakfast Club, and Jasmine listens to it every single day. She likes him. She says he used to be all about some mess or whatever. Anyways, she says he's very honest, right? And I've listened to the guy talk. He is very honest as far as, and I might disagree with him on his opinions, but the dude is, he actually has integrity, right? And I respect that, regardless of whether or not I agree with everything he says. And Jasmine likes him. And I look at this guy here, right? The thing was, he asked Joe Biden a serious question. I'm sure Joe Biden thought that he was going on for this little softball, oh, you're so great, bullshit. And Charlemagne asked him a legitimate question. Biden's response was to basically say, you're not black if you don't vote for him. And Charlemagne actually called him on it and pressed him on it, right? And, there was this whole thing where I remember I was listening to one of the podcasts with her, and someone had called in and said, I understand your issues with Biden, but we should really focus on Donald Trump right now. And his response was basically like, no, like I'm just going to sit around and let him say the shit that he's going to say. I won't say exactly what he said because I get in trouble. But anyways, the issue with the statement wasn't how fucking racist it was. Okay. And it was incredibly fucking racist. It was the fact that he was asked a legitimate question about what he would do for Black America. And his response was just a slap on black people. Right. Like, anyways, I just, Vaush just like, he goes way past the point that people were making. Right. If you get asked, what will you do for the Black community? And your response is like, well, you're not black if you don't vote for me. And Vaush comes in and says, well, yeah, that was racist. He should have phrased it this way. Like, dude, come on. Like, that wasn't the issue. Ah, man. Okay. Let's get started. We're like 43 minutes in.
Oh, I'm just reading about this Charlemagne guy. He seems a little crazy himself. Why does he have beef with so many rappers?
The way Jasmine said it to me is like the dude just, he's a prick. He's a massive prick, and he will say some really just antagonistic shit to people, right? And I'm going to leave it at that, because beyond that, I was told like in the past he used to do some really fucked up shit too, but now he's mellowed out. So,
okay,
yeah. But no, the
glad
thing
he's
is,
mellowed out.
But he went on CNN. I know we're talking about Charlemagne now, but he went on CNN, right? And he was talking with Don Lemon. And Mr. Lemonhead has this like chyron underneath them as he's talking. That's like 91% of the Black community supports Joe Biden, according to recent polls. And Charlemagne's on there is like, dude, you can keep polling these older Black dudes, and it doesn't mean anything because Donald Trump is putting these ads out in the Black community targeting younger Black men. And he said it's working. those advertisements are working. He didn't say that he agreed with Trump, what Trump was saying. He didn't say anything like that. He just said Donald Trump is courting their vote and it's working. And fucking Lemonhead is over there just going, no, you're wrong. 91%, 91, like just in
It's
fucking
like, sure,
denial.
go live in that that reality in your head, that fucking made up reality where 91% of everyone is voting for Trump. Or you could actually try to, if you want Trump to lose, fucking think smarter, or at least report it so people.
Well, I mean, at least
themselves.
acknowledge, there's a reason why people don't want to vote for Biden. Like, even if they hate Trump, even if they hate Donald Trump, there's a reason why people don't want to vote for Biden. Okay. And the issue with the Biden campaign, just as a whole, and I'd say especially when it comes to the Black community, and I'm just speaking as an outside observationist here, Biden's not giving them a reason to vote for him. He's just giving them all the reasons why they shouldn't vote for Trump. Right. And that only gets you so far. And at the end of the day, you need to give people a reason why they should vote for you. Right. And he doesn't have it. Like, they can make the COVID argument, but like, if you've seen their actual plan for COVID, it's literally the same plan that Trump has. We're going to accelerate getting a vaccine out there. Trump's doing the same thing, and you bitches are complaining about it. So, like, you don't actually have anything unique there, right? Anyways. And I am one of those Black women who didn't vote for Biden. Crow has a point. I'm just going to highlight this one. Crow has a point. Crow Gotti, I love you. Thank you.
That's a good comment right there.
Yeah. All right. I'm just gonna leave that on the stream while we focus on this. I'm such an egotistical bastard. I'll admit it. Thank you, Kurogani, for feeding my ego.
You got to be self-aware,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
All right, let's
into just a lot of the things we don't normally get to hear from I guess leftists. Is that appropriate?
Yeah, the real blood sports is the upcoming me versus Enrique Tarrio conversation. Obviously, that one will be,
I mean, I'd be down if you wanted to have a debate and because I don't debate people. I'll have a discussion. We can talk about stuff.
Enrique actually mentioned, I think, debating with you.
Real? Wait,
when he was here, was it Vaush that he wanted to debate?
No.
Oh,
probably Hassan's the. I know we look so similar, but
Hassan Piker, yeah.
I don't fake
I'm
Adam.
terrified of flying, so we'll pace them out one at a time. But I'm not
trying.
Hold on. I do got to highlight this next one. Jay London, did you see the interview on CNN with 3 Black women who were explaining to a woman why they didn't want to vote for Biden? The interviewer was shocked. Yeah, I saw it. I think Trump's going to win only because you have these people, these pollsters and these journalists, and they do not understand at all why people don't like Biden. They ignore it, they block it out, and then they wind up dragging these people in to ask them a question, assuming they're going to say the thing that they want them to say, and they just get shocked and surprised. So, anyways, let's what is under Tim Pool's beanie? He's bald as fuck.
Have your mic right at your mouth and
gotcha. Right.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we go.
Nailing it. There we go.
Better. So just because the story just broke, I don't want to just ignore it. But apparently it's like a big nothing burger. Okay. But I do want to show this real quick before we do. Welcome to the show, everybody. This is Tim Castaro podcast. Of course, Ian.
Yo.
We got Ian here.
What it is.
Lydia is producing, as
I'm
most of
here in
you
the
are
corner.
aware, and I am Tim Pool. And as you all
Okay, I got to point something out. Ian is a discount Adam. I want Adam back. And I wish Adam
I want
was
Adam back too. What happened to Adam? They don't.
I don't know.
They keep it a big secret. I don't like that.
I don't know. Adam was way better than this Ian guy is. I don't even know I don't like Ian. Ian's not my friend. Adam's my friend.
Dude, Ian's like a watered down Adam. He doesn't seem interesting. Doesn't seem cool. He seems like they just found him on the beach of Venice and was like, "Yo, you want to come be on a podcast?" And he was like, "Oh, can I make vegan burgers in the studio?" And they were like, "Sure, dude." And then that's how we got.
No, that's not even the worst part. He looks like a discount Adam too. Oh,
Similar.
Hassan Piker, yeah.
Well, I'm terrified of flying, so we'll pace them out one at a time. Similar, but
Hassan Piker, yeah.
Well, I'm terrified
of
flying, so we'll pace them out.
You can kind of see him at the bottom of the screen here. He looks like a discount
have your mic
fucking
right at your mouth and
gotcha.
You wanted to have a debate and because I don't debate people. I'll have a discussion. We can talk
I think it's
about
going to come up right
actually
here.
mentioned, I think.
There we go. He looks like a discount Adam.
Yeah.
Right? He does. He does.
He
Like
needs
I
just
think that was
glasses and a
intentional.
beanie. Of course, it was
Exactly.
intentional. He wants a soft transition, right? I mean,
Yeah, but like it's very off-putting to me.
this guy's getting get fired too. He doesn't like him. He interrupts him, says meaningless shit, and then
We should start a what are those like little fucking campaigns people do online?
like a Deadpool, but just see like
No,
when the guy's getting kicked off a show.
no. I'm blanking on the name of them.
A poll?
No, not a poll, but like what's that thing when people like do like sign-ins to like sign up to support this cause?
Oh, it's like a petition.
Yeah,
But-
there we go. We need to start a petition. Actually, Kat got it
Is
first. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
We need to start a petition to get Adam back. Right?
Yeah, petition is
Change.org.
the right word. Okay.
Someone in
Change.org.
chat, if you go right now and start a change.org petition to get us Adam back on the Timcast IRL show, I will sign it and I will promote it heavily. I stand with Adam. Thank you. I stand with Adam. Thank you.
We should just go watch Adam's
Smiley face.
podcast.
No, I don't want to take away his views. I don't mind taking away Tim
Who?
Pool's views because he gets so many.
That's what I'm saying. We got to go watch Adam's
Debating
podcast.
with you.
Real?
Wait,
When
so
you were
let me
here,
let me
was it
actually
Vaush
jump
or
ahead a
what?
little
No,
bit.
no.
Be 2 million, which was the estimate if nothing was done. So what if it had hit 1 million? Would they say, well, that's half of what was expected? The
Daily Mail.
inside scoop.
Yeah,
on
man.
that.
They're going to talk about
That's what it
COVID
says.
here.
We've busted. Nah, you
They're
know,
making the news.
That's right,
I
they
gotta
really
be honest.
are.
Daily Mail needs to hire some copy editors. So like they have grammatical errors all the time. Of all the outlets, there's that. But we so look, that's the gist of it.
So, Tim, was it true what they were saying that they were trying to blame Trump for the COVID crisis? What's going on there?
What?
Oh, what's actually
That's what the lemon looks like. I haven't watched Tim's.
Do you think you could get Adam on as a guest? If his DMs are open on Twitter, I'll message him and I'll ask him. To be honest with you, I do want. Probably not, but I don't see why we shouldn't ask people. I want to ask more people if they want to come on because we used to do, we used to do the Couch Crows, and we would have people on and we would interview them. And we've actually had some pretty big people come on. We had Chuck Huber come on. We had Ruben Langdon come on, and those were a lot of fun. Those were tremendously fun. In fact, if you guys want sometime, check out the Ruben Langdon Couch Crows that we did way back. That guy is incredibly cool, and we did this whole talk about aliens, and that shit was amazing. But I wouldn't mind reaching out, to be honest with you. Actually, if you guys want to reach out and just be like, hey, go on Crows of Judgment, and don't tell them that I said that, and then I'll just be like, hey, buddy, what's up? But Adam's cool.
Someone else send
Adam's
them this clip right here. Be like, don't tell them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. we're just major fans, right?
I mean, it all depends how busy he is too, right? I don't know if he has time to check out our channel. We'd have to impress him somehow, I would assume. But he might be cool and just be like, what up?
No, but, we've had plenty of people on before to do those, and I think one of the things that I failed at is I haven't reached out to very many content creators and asked them to come on. And don't get me wrong, I know I reached out to Tug before he's come on. Yellow Flash has come on a couple times. But it's definitely something where I need to do a better job at as far as reaching out to these people, trying to get interviews scheduled. And I'll try to do that for you guys because I know a lot of people do appreciate it when we're able to get guests lined up.
It's the only streamer podcast I ever turned down was Sammy's. But everyone else who's asked me, I've gone on. So maybe Adam is the same. Maybe he'll just go on whoever's and not even background check him.
Maybe. I think the other issue is we're a very small channel. And I'm not saying these guys are all egotistical. Yeah. It's just, we have 1,000 subs. I'm sure that they want to do their own content.
Well, he might not trust us. He might think we're trying to get him in a gotcha moment and take his subs or some shit. Or just try to use his name to gain views or something.
Why would he think that?
I don't know, because
Steve, is there something you're planning?
I'm not planning anything. I like Adam.
Fucking filthy fucking Canadians always pulling shit, trying to set people up. This is the problem with Canada. They are a bunch of just shysters. just trying to manipulate and use people and take their wealth and gains. They did it to the natives of Canada, and they're doing it now to the proud people of YouTube. You apologize, you Canadian devil. Apologize now.
No.
Apologize.
No.
Apologize.
I apologize too much for like meaning this. I'm not apologizing for this. I like Adam. I'm not saying we would do anything bad. I'm just saying some of the reasons he might not come on. You know?
Yeah, we love Adam and we want more of him. Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, but guys, I'm being serious in the chat right now. You work in finance, so what does that say about shyster shit? I disavow. But like, guys, seriously, go to change.org and make a petition to get Adam back on the Timcast IRL podcast, and let's all sign it and let's all share it with everybody.
How many votes do you think we
Yeah,
get?
that's what I heard. I heard that they were trying to blame Trump for this.
100,000.
I mentioned earlier, is the U.S. government and the
That'd be
Chinese
dope.
government, are all these governments working together to create a bioweapon in a Chinese lab that then got out?
That's
then
like a
Tim
movie
said-
script, dude.
yeah.
That's
Good
just
one, though.
No, I'm 100% behind it.
Yes, I
what
like
I
it.
want to
Really?
know, the incorrect, well, half. The bad grammar kind of leaves like involved in the origins. I mean, I think Trump flubbed the COVID response, sure, but involved in creating coronavirus, I don't know. Like,
Yeah, they got
that'd
hacked.
be a
Their
pretty
site got taken
sensational
down for a
thing,
little
right?
bit.
It's pretty ridiculous. Maybe they saw Borat. They
Don't
were
know who did it,
inspired,
but-
you know, creative flourish. But I don't know.
Bunch of
Maybe
conspiracy theories
like,
behind it.
grammar was wrong.
they made it, put it in China so they could blame China.
I've heard that it wasn't just a Chinese company working out of that lab, like other.
Where did you hear this?
I read it on the
Oh,
internet.
no.
Yeah.
Oh no, okay.
I read that it was like some company that Fauci was involved with was working at the
Oh,
lab in
no.
Wuhan.
I do.
That's a lot.
I don't have.
Okay, all
Weren't
right.
they like studying coronavirus?
You
from
can-
that
okay,
from the
I'm just saying,
lab?
like, you
I
can
don't
tell-
think it was man-made. I think it just got out. Like there's a breach. Like it's not that fucking.
Well, the issue is, right, the reason why a lot of people thought it was man-made, and I don't know, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I'm just saying that because I
I'm
don't
saying
know any
it
of the
isn't.
science behind COVID. I'm
I
just
do.
saying I don't
I
know
know
any
all
of the
the
science behind
science,
COVID, and I am
I
not
do.
going to make a single fucking statement about it. But what I had heard was there was these, and I even mentioned this in the past, when they were analyzing the COVID, there were like HIV strains within COVID or something of that nature. And I even thought originally, well, that makes it man-made, right? And so I've heard from other people, well, no, that doesn't really mean anything. It looks like it could be, but that's not necessarily proof that it is, right? Because sometimes things just develop that way. But what I do think is they had COVID. It was in the lab. They didn't know about it. And once it got out, they did their best to cover it up until it just exploded and they couldn't do anything.
Well, yeah, China wanted to be like the big. We don't need to tell anyone. We can keep it under lock. It won't leave China. It'll be fine.
I don't necessarily think that's what the issue was. I think the issue is China is a communist dictatorship, right? So you have these low-level people there, and they don't want to look bad to the party. So what they do is when something bad happens, they try to cover it up. They don't go to people. They don't exactly. They don't want to look like fuck ups. They don't want to have to face punishment. So what they do is they try to just sweep it under the rug. And the issue is this was not something that you could do that with. And that would be my theory as far as like why this broke out. It's not because
they weren't
China
wearing the right level of protective equipment either for like what they were working.
No,
with.
they definitely
That's-
work. No. They definitely work. That's the thing, right? It's China's fucking trash hole fucking government and everything.
They're cutting corners everywhere, Crow.
But that's the
It was
thing.
bound to happen.
Once you had these low-level people try to bury it, then they couldn't bury it. Then the Chinese government knew about it, and they decided not to tell anybody because they knew what was happening. At a certain point, they definitely did because they started contacting foreign companies, right? That they kind of own, and told them
Getting all the
send
masks
us,
out.
yeah, send us all these PPE, send us all the medications, knowing what was about to happen. Okay.
And then they told the World Health Organization, and that's when Trump was like, "Yo, fuck you."
Yeah, like I think that I don't think that they intentionally released it, but I think at a certain point they knew what was about to happen, and that's when they fucked everybody over because China's just a fucking shitty ass nation.
Well,
Like,
and Tim Pool knows of this because Tim Pool reported on most of what we've said here. I'm pretty sure.
You know, it's really funny. there are these like old ass tweets from Media Matters, right? Media Matters is a terrible organization that basically exists to deplatform Fox News. And there are these tweets from Media Matters talking about how Fox News is spreading around insane, unhinged conspiracy theories about a deadly disease in China, right? This is way before COVID, like was a well-known thing. And then later, like 2 months later, they were talking about how Fox News is trying to cover up COVID. And I'm like, dude, you guys are insane. Like, if you line them up side by side, and that's because some of the hosts thought one thing and some of the hosts thought something else. But Media Matters is just fucking trash all around. So they just say whatever the opposite of Fox is and then try to get them deplatformed.
Rev asked if facial hair makes you an expert on world issues. I said, of course, yes.
But
America is its own country. No other country is a perfect comparison. So they could blame China.
I've heard that it wasn't just a Chinese company working out of that lab, like other.
Where did you hear this?
I read.
I like the look on Tim's
I read
face
that it
here.
was
It's just like
some
Ian,
company
shut
that
the
Fauci
fuck
was
up, dude.
involved with was working at the lab in Wuhan.
I do.
That's a lot.
I don't
There
know if
you
the documents
go.
are wrong.
Fucking
man.
vegan
Yeah.
Shaggy.
Face
over
of
there.
disappointment.
I met Fauci. He admitted to it, though. It's true.
Oh, it's
Oh,
true.
really? Oh, snap.
So well, let's dive in. You
Cool,
just
let's
said
get
you
in there,
think
yeah.
Trump flubbed the response.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one of the problems is we don't actually have a metric for knowing what success looks like. Every pandemic response is
Absolutely.
unique, you know. Would Hillary Clinton have done better or worse? The fact of the matter is America is its own country. No other country is a perfect comparison. We also have a very decentralized government. States are given a lot of autonomy when it comes to responses, which can be a downside when it comes to stuff like this. I think there were a lot of things that he did wrong, from a sort of habitual tendency to downplay the severity of the virus. We know, of course, that he was informed of its severity but didn't want people to panic, which seems like it was an effort to keep stock investors from sort of, you know, hard selling, which may or may not have worked. We know, of course, there was a crash later anyway. But the thing that bothers me the most about the whole response is that
I have to say, right? This is what I meant. He doesn't always make terrible fucking points. I think everything he said there was very fair, right? You can't compare the United States to a different nation. The issue with the United States is we are decentralized and the states do have a lot of autonomy and they make their own policy. And there are inherent downsides to that when you look at a global pandemic. Those are all fair points. Now, his criticism of Trump, I also think that's fair too, right? Now, do I think Trump was doing it for the stock market? No, I mean, like, let's be honest. We already had people like run to the store and we had a toilet paper shortage. Now, imagine if Donald Trump, months in advance, was shouting at people, we're about to be hit with a deadly pandemic. There are many people that will die. I think you would have seen actual food shortages because a person is smart and people are fucking remedial as shit.
Do you think people would have believed him?
No, well, that's the thing, right? Like I told you, Media Matters was talking about how Fox News was spreading an unhinged conspiracy theory about a deadly disease in China, right?
Yeah.
If Donald Trump had come out before anybody had died and talked about how contagious this disease was, that the nation is going to suffer, we must start doing these lockdowns, they would have called him an authoritarian despot. They would have said he was a dictator, that he was trying to seize power, that it was all insane, that he was a liar, and you know they would do it because anything Trump does, they immediately oppose. When Trump put out the travel restrictions, Biden, who's a fucking liar, immediately put out a tweet the very next day about how Trump was being xenophobic for shutting down travel.
Yeah.
I don't actually think there's a metric that Republicans would, like a line where they would say, that's too many deaths. Because right now it's at 225,000-ish. And I feel like, and Trump saying, well, you know, they said it was going to be 2 million, which was the estimate if nothing was done. So what if it had hit 1 million? Would they say, well, that's half of what was expected? If it had hit 2 million, would Trump have said, well, that's exactly what they said was going to happen?
To be fair, you could say the same thing about the Democrats. Or, you know, if it's right versus left, the Democrats would not have accepted any number at all.
Oh, I mean, and if they were in power, I'd be perfectly willing to criticize for them. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But right now, I mean, Trump has had his hands have covered this whole thing.
It's true, but it feels like then the real issue is, do you like Trump or not? I mean, look, 225,000 is really, really bad. It's horrifying, right? And even Trump has said that. We don't know what it could have been or would have been. There's no metric for success, which you pointed out. So it's either do you trust him, or do you like him, or do you not?
Well, there are things that he did that I'm reasonably sure, like a Hillary Clinton. And by the way, please, everyone, I don't like Hillary Clinton. We can write that on my tombstone.
What about Joe Biden?
Well, that's one point for Vaush.
So I'll admit, I do like him more than Hillary Clinton. I think he is marginally more
I'll give
likable
you that.
than Hillary Clinton. Yeah.
Hillary Clinton is the bottom of the barrel, man.
Yeah,
Right,
she
right.
really
So
is.
we're only nowhere to go but up.
Oh,
That's right.
God.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah,
Spirit.
with Trump, when it comes to stuff like, for example, downplaying the severity of the virus, I feel like Democrats would have done that to an extent. But when it comes to stuff like habitually like ignoring masks or like sort of arguing with Fauci back and forth to the point where Fauci now needs a security detail to go in his runs because there are a lot of far right groups who think that he's trying to lock down the whole country, with him sort of promoting the anti-lockdown protests, saying they were taking back the respective states, which has led to additional threats of violence. I feel like stuff like that refers to a particular kind of far right populism that the Democrats don't have the ability to tap into. You know,
What do you mean?
I don't think the Democrats really have the same base of fanatical support in the way that the
Whoa, okay. See, that's the thing, right? I'm sure Tim Pool will probably bring this up, right? But first off, Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan, right? There was this plot by these people that they wanted to kidnap her and hold her on trial for violating the Constitution, right? And
Kidnapped her, what?
Yeah. And the FBI arrested them before they did anything. This was a plot that they were doing. And the issue with that is they immediately said, well, this is because of Trump. This is because of everything Trump has been saying about Michigan, right? The issue with that is one of their ringleaders hates Donald Trump and says he is a traitor to the nation and is a hardcore Black Lives Matter activist. So, you know, the issue is nobody likes Gretchen Whitmer. Everybody thinks that she went way too fucking far. She is ignoring the Supreme Court in Michigan, who keeps telling her, and the lockdowns, you have no authority to do this. And her husband, and Trump's pointed this out several times, was violating those same lockdowns, and nothing was being done about it. So that's why people in that state are fed up with her. Trump can say whatever he wants to fucking say, but when you have libertarians and when you have the far right and you have a BLM activist all getting together, it has nothing to do with Trump. That woman is just nasty and people can't stand her. So I don't think that's a fair point of like Trump has a fanatical base. I mean, look at fucking Antifa. They might not be the Democrats' base, but they sure as shit will support the Democrats over Trump.
Well, yeah. That's
Trump
kind of their thing.
supporters do.
Yeah.
They have now. There are like K-Hive lunatics, and those people exist and they're real. But I feel like their antagonism is more directed at sort of chauvinism or anti-progressivism, or just against any candidate their preferred candidate doesn't like. But this like hardcore ultra-nationalist rejection of a national response.
I know what
to
you mean,
COVID,
Jay
that,
London.
I think is a particular to the Trump fandom.
What groups? Like what right-wing groups are engaging in this kind of violence and going after people?
Well, the violence is fairly.
Oh, is that
I mean,
MSNBC?
violence, like political
Thank you for the
violence, is
correction.
always going to be a fairly small percentage of the actual harm done here. No political group could ever do harm to rival the 225,000 dead. You know,
Right.
But we tend to wipe that stuff under the rug. This is one of the criticisms that I have as a libertarian socialist, like with the general system. that we live in.
You know I hate that fucking term, right?
It's so oxymoronic. Like, what the fuck is he talking about? A libertarian socialist. Get out of
you know-
here, Vaush.
I mean, look, to be honest with you, there's nothing libertarian about being a socialist, right? But essentially, it's some stupid shit that they made up, okay? And so that they don't have to call themselves authoritarian socialists, which is essentially what socialism is, right? It's authoritarian. It's okay. I don't want to get too far deep into it.
Well, we
but look,
already went into it before. It's
Yeah.
just like, it sounds so remedial.
No, it's not. It's like when they argue that racism only means people in power can be racist, right? They make up fucking words. They change the definition of words. When something becomes unpopular, they just change the meaning to be something else, right? So everybody hates the term packing the courts. Nobody is sorry. The vast overwhelming majority of people are against the idea of packing the Supreme Court, okay? And Democrats know that. So what are they saying now? The Republicans are packing the Supreme Court because they keep getting appointments to the Supreme Court. So we must expand the courts, which is totally different from packing the courts. The left knows how to use, like, just weaponize words against their opposition. And that's all libertarian socialist means to me. It's just some stupid shit where they made it up because they know one term is inherently unpopular. So they just go ahead and change it to say something completely different, even though it means the exact same fucking thing. It annoys the crap out of me. But, you know, I do acknowledge that words only have as much meaning as people give them. So there is that. But colloquially speaking, I'm probably saying that word fucking wrong.
Colloquially, I can't say it either. Don't worry.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, I'm not a. Maybe it's the pain pills and the alcohol. Who knows, folks?
Don't mix those too much.
You don't tell me what to do, you son of a bitch. No, but like literally. In terms of what libertarianism is, and in terms of what socialism is, those two ideologies have nothing in common.
Nope.
Live it, We'll say like news media will focus.
No, yeah, that's just a fucking moron.
That's horrible, of course. But at the same time,
he's made some good points.
Pharmaceutical companies are pushing doctors to give unneeded opiates to people, and in the same period of time, 13,000 people might die. But that's a statistic. That's not a news story. That just keeps happening. So what I'm worried about isn't the actual political violence. It's about the attitudes we've taken that have allowed COVID to continue to this point. Just today, Trump said, as one of his campaign achievements prior to the election, conquering COVID-19. On Saturday, highest recorded number of cases in the history of the country in a single day. Horrifying.
And Mike Pence has said, I think he said during the debate, he tweeted it and deleted the tweet, that Trump locked everything down, which is not the case. There's a lot of complicated stuff here because we're going.
I think that let me turn down the volume just a bit, just so we can talk at the same time.
The simple point I can make, which I did, I guess.
Look, I think he made a fair point there, right? I think he did.
There's nothing to base it off.
Trump claiming that he defeated COVID is a stupid thing. It's as stupid as Bush saying that they won the war in Iraq.
Task force to spend.
You don't think we won the war in Iraq?
There were some cases in which people could travel from China.
Dude, he said it within a year of us invading Iraq, and we're still fucking there.
So that was the early response.
We're gonna get the tourists.
Don't wear masks. We had, who was the Surgeon General guy? Don't wear masks.
Oh, yeah.
They both did. They tweeted about it. Fauci is now saying it was a mistake for him to say not to wear masks. There's a video that the Republicans put out where you've got Kamala Harris and Joe Biden criticizing things Trump has said. And then they show that Fauci was the one advising, like Fauci was the one saying it publicly. So in this capacity, I've been covering this since it started. And I remember Anthony Fauci saying Trump is doing the best. I don't think anyone could do anything better. Now we're several months on. We're getting close to election, and all of a sudden, everyone's saying Trump has done a miserable job.
Well, to be fair, it's not all of a sudden. I mean, there have been points where Fauci's, and I disagree, by the way. I think initially Fauci's arguing you don't need to use masks was, I mean, the logic he used there was that he was trying to disincentivize the purchase of PPE that otherwise needed to go to medical professionals.
Yes,
and I think it's irresponsible to put that out saying masks aren't effective or we don't know masks are effective. I think a more responsible way would have been to sort of implore Americans to be responsible with their consumerism. You know
the weirdest thing about it is, though, early on, conservatives were the ones like, I'm gonna go buy masks. I was getting messaged by people like, hey, don't listen to Fauci, go buy your mask.
I remember.
And now all of a sudden it's
contrarians.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's both. Like you had Democrats saying don't wear masks and the conservatives saying wear masks. Then it flipped at some point. And now it's the Democrats, or I should say the left or whatever it is.
I don't think it was that unanimous. I think that for the most part, people were on board with wearing masks. And there was a brief period where we were very concerned about making sure there was enough materials available for the hospitals and for the nurses and what have you. But even early on, and Fauci's in a difficult position here because I have a strong feeling that if Fauci was too critical of the president, he would be replaced for somebody less so. So Fauci,
like Dr. Atlas.
Yeah. So if Fauci praises the president, there's kind of like that. Okay, how much of this is like the kid getting patted on the shoulder by the teacher, and how much of this is like a real political assessment? I don't know. I just think it's a degree of skepticism that we have to apply. With regards to the early response, though, with Trump, though, we know that he defunded the CDC. He eliminated Obama's pandemic response team. He pulled the 44 researchers out of Wuhan who were supposed to investigate the origins of that virus. And while he did stop travel from China quickly, he did basically nothing for the next month before stopping it from Europe, by which point I think we now know it was pretty much too late.
What should you?
Okay.
Is Europe his responsibility?
Well, no. There's a big issue that I have with what he said there, right? We know Trump got rid of Obama's epidemic. Under Obama, the federal government expanded to this insane fucking degree, right? And one of the things Obama did was he would open up one department and then another department, and then another department and another department. So when Trump came in, he started shutting those down and condensing them together. So rather than having one team specifically for this and this and this and this, he put the pandemic team with another team for health, right? So that team was just supposed to do the exact same thing that the pandemic team was doing and the original team was already doing, and then get rid of a lot of that bloat. Now, I can understand why some people would want only one team for pandemics. I mean, fine, but swine flu was handled terribly, right? Like, I don't want to jump into that too much, but my point is, when you go ahead and you make all of these separate departments, you have an issue with all these different fucking heads talking at the same time, right? Condensing it together actually means you can get a better response out versus having this specific team and this specific team, and this specific team, and this specific team, and they're all supposed to somehow work together. That doesn't work, especially not in government. So I don't like that he's trying to use this argument. Well, with Trump shut that down. No, he merged it together with an existing department.
Well, they're gonna.
Yeah, don't forget mad cow disease. Yeah, there's actually a couple things under fucking Obama, but having all those departments didn't help us at all. So I mean, it's just a cheap shot on Trump to make that point when that's not really what happened. Anyways,
we had mad cow disease back in like the 90s in Canada.
Yeah, well, no, we had it here under Obama.
Why? What?
You've done.
Yeah,
I think that I think that he says this now, like Biden called me xenophobic for locking down China. It's not true. Biden called him xenophobic, but also.
But he was.
Okay. All right. Vaush is a piece of shit and a fucking lying jackass. In the tweet, in the same tweet, not in two separate tweets, not in tweets that were separated, but in the exact same tweet, in which Biden is criticizing Trump for shutting down travel from China, he calls Trump xenophobic. Okay? He called him xenophobic, Dude, don't, come on, man. Come on. It's in the same fucking statement. You asshole. Come on. Come on, man. I'm gonna play that fucking Biden shit. The come on rap.
Man.
Yeah, I'm gonna play that.
I love that.
It's the funniest shit.
Right?
No, we won't.
Okay.
He's responding to Trump's tweet.
Sure, but that's because Trump is pretty xenophobic when it comes to China. If you can lock down China without it being like this.
I don't know. China also has concentration camps, but okay.
They're going through stuff right now. What could he have done? I think obviously a lockdown from Europe faster would have been preferable. I think regardless of what Fauci said, once it was known that masks were available for everyone, that the PPE line was secure, he should have been very on board with promoting their use instead of tacitly supporting the anti-lockdown, anti-masker protests with his tweets. And most importantly, I think he should have laid out a national plan to help states, to guide states, to give the money necessary.
He did.
To help them. Well, he kind of held it over some of their heads. It was
there was the 3-phase plan that he launched earlier in the year of what to do and how to do it, and then he did this press conference where it was phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Here's what you need. I'm the president. I can't control the states. Now it's up to the governors.
Sure, but he can though. You can do a national mandate. You can order national distribution of resources, and it feels like. And if we get down to the dates, it gets particular here. But there were times when it felt like he was blackmailing states with support, oh yeah, I'll give you this, your hospitals need, I'll give you these resources, but you're doing so terribly lately. Just recently he said, I think this was one of the debates, you'll have to forgive me if I don't remember the exact source, he said that he didn't care so much about aid for some of the stimulus deals because they would have gone to high crime Democrat cities. And what this suggests to me is the partisanship of a president who is going to give preferential treatment to bases of support that he knows will vote for him. Doesn't really care so much about other groups.
I respect your point. I think it's complicated in terms of Trump's ability to accurately and charismatically convey an idea. I would say he lacks that substantially. But one of the issues with giving money to a lot of these states, whether he's legally allowed to do it, there's going to be a lawsuit.
Kitty.
You've got these jurisdictions, because we'll now move into sort of the political violence stuff, and we can get into what's going on in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
You've got these jurisdictions that are cutting people loose over and over and over again, and the riots keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So why should I, as somebody who is, I pay taxes in a state not having these problems?
Mm-hmm.
Why should I have those federal tax dollars go to a state that's just dumping it into a sinkhole? So now what we have is we have states that have a budget crisis. Notably, New York is a really good example. Cuomo said, I believe it was last year, God help us if the rich leave.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get Ocasio-Cortez leading a protest in the financial district, which triggers, I guess it was a catalyst for Amazon saying we don't want to bring our 20 to 40,000 jobs here, which is $30 billion over a decade. So now you've got New York City in a budget crisis, and then they go to Trump and say, bail us out. And then Trump says, no. And particularly because you've defunded $1 billion from your police. You had widespread rioting and looting that wasn't taken care of. You've used taxpayer dollars to put a political message in the street. Why should federal tax dollars go towards what New York is doing when they're acting extremely irresponsibly?
Well, I think there are a lot of issues being conflated here. First of all, if we just look broadly at like a state level.
I mean, I don't think that that's really conflating a bunch of issues there. If your politicians in the city, right? Like if your politicians in the city, right, blow a massive deal, right? And the thing is, they try to go like, no, because we were going to give Amazon millions of dollars and they weren't going to pay us any taxes. It was a tax credit, you assholes, right? And the thing about bringing in those jobs is, and you may not like it, but when you bring in those jobs, there's income tax being paid by those jobs. The revenue generated gets taxed as well, right? When people are buying products from that company, the taxes are going to get paid out in New York. That's how that fucking shit works, right? The cost for bringing all that shit in, that's also being taxed. Now, are they getting a massive tax credit? Absolutely. Do I think the deal is a little fucking fucked up? Yes. But when New York City is suffering and they say they need the money, fucking don't blow it, right? So they lost all that. LOL, what conflation? This dude is so intellectually dishonest. Dude, it's Vaush, man. Come on. What's up, John?
Yo, John. Ah. I miss John.
John, yeah, no, John, you haven't been on the stream lately, buddy. We miss you.
Is this something we did?
Probably is. Oh, dude, that news on the Power Rangers animated series, I'm fucking hyped for that. I totally am. Go check out John's channel if you want to get some news. There's this like major thing, like I guess they're doing like a Power Rangers like cinematic universe with like fucking movies and TV shows and animated series. It sounds totally fucking cool. But yeah, John reported that today. So make sure you check out his channel if you have any interest at all in the Power Rangers. Okay. When the fuck you gonna have me on? I don't know, Rev.
Why did that take so long? You've been on stream with Rev before.
No, we have. Hey, Rev, why don't you come on Sunday? We'll do a chill stream on Sunday. There'll be like a catch-up stream. But yeah, you can come on Sunday. Like, I don't have an issue with that. I take it back. I rescind the invitation. Actually, I really don't like Rev. He's a terrible person. Fuck that
Oh my
guy.
goodness, bro. Oh my goodness.
Just messing around. But yeah, Rev, Sunday, come on. Fuck it. All right. Look, my issue, like with this whole thing, right, is it's not conflation to point out that New York City completely mismanages its money, right? And I talked to somebody who said, like, look, man, New York, they lived in New York. They said we didn't need the Amazon deal. The fact of the matter is the city just blows its fucking money. I'm going to highlight this comment. The city just blows its fucking money, right? And I said, okay, that's fine. But while they're blowing their money, they have no money to spend on all the money they keep blowing out, right? So you still need Amazon to come in. But if you have one of your politicians and they kill your fucking deal, okay? And now you're saying, now you're saying you need money from the federal government because of COVID, when in reality, your city has been failing for a very long time. I don't think that the government should give you any more money. The sad thing is, like, the left used to understand this argument about how too big to fail doesn't make any sense, right? Like when the federal government was bailing out the automotive industry, they said, oh, the fact that they are too big to fail is a stupid argument. Okay, I completely agree. Point that towards the fucking city now, right? That is too big to fail because all the citizens and the population. No, fuck that. Their politicians fucked up entirely, right? They completely screwed up this major fucking deal that was going to bring in thousands of fucking jobs, that was going to generate a ton of tax revenue that the city needed, and they blew it up. And then they cheered it on. Fucking AOC considers that one of her greatest fucking accomplishments. Killing thousands of jobs. That's one of the things she's proud of doing. Okay, if you're going to do that, you don't deserve any fucking federal money handout. They go, but the Republican states, they're failures and they take a lot of money from the federal government. Hey, fuck you too. I don't give a shit. If you're struggling, right? New York City should be generating way more money than it does. Okay? But the problem is it blows money out the fucking ass. Consistently does it. And then they're doing these harsh fucking lockdowns there, while at the same time promoting all these protests there, while at the same time having fucking riots there, while at the same time telling the cops don't do anything there, while at the same time telling the DA let all these people go there. You don't deserve fucking money. And then he wants to say, well, I think Trump should be more generous to these blue cities. I think that's very hyper partisan. No, it's a valid fucking point, man. If those are here's the problem. There are no Republican-run states that are facing the issues that California and New York are. Well, at the same time, the left likes to brag about how California and New York, they generate so much gross profit. Yeah, dude, gross profit doesn't mean shit when your costs are that high. There's gross and there's net, and these jackasses on the left go, well, the gross revenue is so big in these states, and they generate so much money, and so they're not really the failures. No, because it's not the net. If your net is negative, you are fucking up entirely. If a company makes $1 million, right, and their costs are $700,000, so they generate $300,000 worth of actual net gross, right? Okay, they make $300,000. If a company generates $10 billion and its cost is $15 billion, there are fucking financial failures.
Okay, Chris.
No, I'm not. I have heard his argument because he's made it on a show before, and I've actually watched this guy before. And I did actually stream through this before, and I listened to his arguments before. But you're right. I am totally ranting now. That is one of the aspects of the show. I do rant. So
that's what the people subscribe for.
Yeah, I don't know why they like it when I rant, buddy. I do apologize.
If you want cyberpunk, you got to go tell your friends to
get ready for the
this ranting maniac.
Yeah, exactly. You should have seen the rant I did about the CBR article arguing that Captain Marvel would have a tie with Ultra Instinct Goku. I ranted much harder on that.
That was a 20-minute rant on some guy's opinion on Dragon Ball Z and
right
comic books.
How's the stock market doing today with a loss of 800 points? Probably terrible. Yeah, Jazz is Deadpool. They said you're Deadpool. But yeah.
Yes, I am. What does he do?
Well, baby, the swords are downstairs.
Oh, he uses swords?
He's got 2 swords. We have 2 swords downstairs.
Does he dance?
Yes, he does. Okay. I should just win Cyberpunk by default. Actually, your response on the stock market today. Look, dude, stock market's going to do terribly until we actually know who the president's going to be. The problem with the market is it doesn't like volatility. It doesn't like uncertainty. And while you still have places saying they're going to be locked down until the end of the lockdowns, when there's potential of Joe Biden being president, and he's talking about raising taxes and he's talking about enforcing stricter lockdowns, that's uncertainty in the market. And you can say the same thing about Trump, but like, dude, for some reason, when Trump is in charge and there's no uncertainty there, even though Trump's a volatile guy, it just the markets seem to enjoy having that dude there, probably because he's a business guy, I would imagine. I imagine that has something to do with it. But whatever. I think it's doing terribly right now. I think it's going to do terribly until we actually know who the president's going to be.
We know it's generally red states who underperform when it comes to the investment they need from the federal government as opposed to what they pay in taxes, in large part because red states tend to have a smaller portion of their population in big cities, which tend to be more efficient economically. But then, like you say, so New York's in a
gross
as it is,
versus
undeniably.
net.
And like Ocasio-Cortez and the marches and the protests, the BLM protests have caused an amount of damage which is infinitesimal compared to like say, for example, the amount of money that the New York City Police Department spends every year on settlements.
I know, buddy. But I'm in agreement with you. It's a terrible fucking thing to see.
The damage done by any of the protests, and that's an every year thing, not an exorbitant, like once in a half century civil rights protest thing. When we're talking about the reason why New York is struggling right now, it's undeniably because of the impact of COVID. And that, I mean, that's hurting everyone. New York is a massive city, which means that its supply lines and its industries are going to be more on the razor's edge when it comes to their ability to support the population. Like a farm in a bad economy can hold itself for a while, but 8 million people in a dense urban network needs a lot of support. And I just, when it comes to like why should I help these people? I mean, I understand the frustration, I guess. I mean, I grew up in California.
Hold on. Not so much why should I help these people. I totally understand people of New York need help for sure. It's more of if I give money to the city, to the government, are they going to light it on fire? Is it actually going to go to help the people, or are they just burning money?
Well, I mean, I haven't looked at their budget registry for the past. I imagine that most of it goes to people, but I mean, when it comes to, you said defunding the police, I mean, that would mean there's less money going towards very high, powerful institutions.
Doesn't like the light.
So I feel like if anything, that would aid in the responsible allocation of those funds. What we're talking about right now, ultimately, is how much do you trust to support the people? My answer unequivocally would be, I absolutely do not. But I don't think the solution to that is denying them funds. I think that's the solution to that is a grassroots organization or network or uprising that tries to make
he gets his toes. It's been in the litter box, girl.
Some sort of database that shows where the money went.
It's the transparency in our cities, like absolute 100%. Everyone should believe in that.
I don't think these cities have done a good job at all. I think we are seeing a lot of problems with gross mismanagement. And even before COVID and before the riots, New York was in trouble. That's why I brought up Cuomo saying, God help us if the rich leave. Because
doesn't that suck though?
Like they're doing a terrible job.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like,
okay. I'm going to skip forward a little bit because I think it's about the 30-minute mark when he starts bringing up the riots and the protests and everything.
For people who participated in these rallies goes, the largest civil rights protest in all of American history. When we start saying like, well, these few people threw rocks at cops here, and then we're talking about fractions of millions of people. So
yeah, see, I disagree with that statement, and I disagree with it from the aspect of what Black Lives Matter activists tend to say, right? Or I guess specifically Antifa, because not all Black Lives Matter activists, but there's this argument among these people, and it's the ACAB argument, right? And it's it goes something like this, right? If you have 1,000 cops, right? Or sorry, if you have 1,000 good cops, right? And 121 of those cops are bad, or something like that, right? Then you have what is it? Something like it just spells out ACAP, whatever. But they basically argue if you have a ton of cops, but you have like 100 bad cops, then all the cops are bad, right? Okay, so
because like the majority of the cops aren't calling out the bad cops or whatever. Was that the argument?
So the issue is like his argument. Well, you have a few people and they throw rocks. Like, okay, hold on. If you have 1,000 protesters, right, and 10 of those protesters are chucking rocks at people, and the other 1,000 are all surrounding them. I get that not every single one of those people there is endorsing the rock throwing, but let's be honest, they ain't calling it out. They're not doing anything to stop it, right? And when I do see people like from Black Lives Matter in these protests, and they are willing to actually call it out and stop it, I'm in full support of it, right? And I brought up those videos where you have the protesters, and they literally grab this guy who's trying to break up concrete to throw it at police, and they grabbed him from behind, and they dragged him over to the cops. And when someone tried to stop him, they were like, "You want to join him?" I respect that because they want to keep their protest peaceful. They're policing themselves, right? That's what you should do. I completely agree with that, right? But if you want to make the argument of, well, I mean, we didn't throw any rocks, but we're not going to stop people from throwing rocks. Oh, okay, then you know what? Don't get fucking mad when the cops go in there and start dragging people away. Put a stop to it yourselves. Especially if you want to argue that you don't want police, like, do it yourself then. Like, fuck, but whatever. I hate that argument. I just hate that argument.
I'd like to say Black Lives Matter as a movement is, with Biden, reformist and generally quite nonviolent as protests go. And then amongst them, are there more radical people? Absolutely. But I'll even defend, to an extent, radical action when it comes to protesting against injustice like this.
Do you know how many people last year, how many unarmed black men were shot and killed by police?
It was like a unarmed black men.
Unarmed black men shot and killed by police.
Somewhere between 20 and 40. I don't remember.
13.
Exactly. 13.
Do you? But I would want to be clear. It's unarmed black men shot and killed. There are instances, like George Floyd was not shot and killed. But it seems like if you have an estimated 375 million interactions with police, if we're having double digits of unjust killings, it's not so much a widespread problem, but just areas where we need to hold people accountable.
Sure.
And I definitely think police are often not held accountable for sure. But does that warrant millions of people, protesting? Does that warrant changing banners at every single park, every major corporation adopting these slogans? Does it warrant street paintings with taxpayer dollars and then using police to protect it? Does it warrant those who would commit violence in their name for 140 plus days? And will any of the Democrats call them out?
Well, the corporations and the politicians doing all of that is just, I'm trying not to use the term virtue signaling. They're doing it because it makes them, well, that's the thing. But I'm not going to defend corporations who are throwing up like the black, app icon for 30 days. Then they throw it up. Of course, but they're only doing that to appeal to a popular narrative. But I'm not going to defend their virtue. Their CEOs could be racist. They could be not. I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter. They'll do whatever makes them money. When it comes to like the protest itself, you have to recognize that the police killings of unarmed black men are very much the tip of an iceberg, even a glacier here, where that is the most easily and objectively verifiable injustice. Like George Floyd, I think a lot of people recognize, not great. Breonna Taylor, likewise. But underneath all of that, those...
Do you mean when you say not great, like those stories were not clear-cut acts of... Like, what do you mean by that?
No, I mean that they're very easy things to protest against, because I
disagree.
You think that the George Floyd thing was like, people should see that and go like,
I think when the George Floyd thing happened, I covered it shocked that we had a video of this cop kneeling on this guy for 8 minutes, and I think it was 43 seconds or whatever. That shouldn't have happened, but more information comes out later. So I recognize that protest. I do. But
I don't think any info came out that made that any less horrible.
That he had fentanyl in his system, a lethal dose of fentanyl, and that when the body camera footage got released, he's actually kicking his way out of the car, saying, "Please hold me on the ground, hold me on the ground."
So I have to push back against this. He would not have died if that knee had not been on his neck. It is the degree to which fentanyl was in his system is something of a matter of contention. There are people who say that it was a lethal amount. There are people who say that it was, while a substantial amount, something that was decreasing or indicative of a previous dose, and that his death was directly caused from constriction of his airflow. While I am not a doctor, I do think the undisputed sort of decision here is that it was because he was kneeled upon.
Did you watch the body camera footage?
Yeah, I don't think that changed anything.
Where he's saying, "Hold me on the ground, hold me on the ground, hold me on the ground," 3 times.
Not by his neck with a knee.
Did you see the manual that was released by the police defense showing them training the police to do that?
Then I think that's a terrible manual.
I agree. And so what I see with Breonna Taylor and with the George Floyd incident is not massive systemic injustice, but, well, actually, I'll take that back. I think it's a broken system that needs to be amended.
But that's
not.
So,
But like, you can have common sense, right? Like, and
Yeah.
just yeah.
no. Finish your point, dude.
No, that's pretty much it. Like, I think if the manual is saying, "Hey, do this thing that might kill a fucking person," and you don't need to do that necessarily, then maybe you just shouldn't do that, and that's it. Well,
Well, I think the argument is the police are trained, and I'm not saying this is like this is a good thing, right? Because I think Tim hits it on the head here. The issue is the training with the police officers. The issue is the system as a whole, right? So if the police are trained that when they're supposed to hold somebody down, that they're supposed to hold them down with a knee to the neck, that is an issue with the system, not with the police officer, right? And I think the problem is you have George Floyd shouting, hold me down, probably because he has just ingested a large amount of fentanyl, which that's not in dispute, right? The police officer is doing what he's trained to do, okay? Now, when you're watching that video, not knowing any of the stuff that the police are actually trained to do, not knowing about the drugs, not knowing about the kicking and the fighting and George Floyd screaming for them to hold him down several times, it makes it look like the police officer is attempting to murder him, right? It makes it
why
look
was
that
he
way.
saying to hold him down? Like,
Because
I've
he
never
okay
seen
because
that part.
because that wasn't part of the original video. Right? The body cam footage was finally released, right? And it should have been released from day one, okay? But the body cam footage got released, and in the body cam footage, okay, hold on, let me see this. Okay, so I don't like the idea of offering the police militarized training and weaponry. I do agree with evaluating a mental issue and handling accordingly. You have to take psychology. To be considered in the PF. I don't agree with giving them military training and weaponry, like maybe a specialized unit, right? In major cities. I don't really think you need that in most places. I don't think it makes sense. But in terms of like, I think that there should be more money for actual training programs. And I do think that all police officers, regardless of their position, should be forced. I don't know if it's like every 6 months or every year to undergo a mandatory psych evaluation. And I think there should be money put aside for that. But just to move on with this point, right? If the cop is trained to hold somebody down in that way, and that is apparently part of their training manual, okay? And George Floyd is shouting to be held down, and he's shouting to be held down because he had just ingested a large amount of fentanyl. Now, I understand what Vaush is saying, where he goes, well, it's in contention whether that would be a lethal dosage. Fine.
But
I don't
understand.
Yeah.
Fentanyl's not going to make you run or whatever. Why does he need to be held down if he took fentanyl? Why is he asking this? It doesn't make sense.
A lot of people say that because he was on probation, he didn't want to be busted with fentanyl, right? Because he would go back to prison. Okay. So what he had done was he just ingested a large fucking amount of fentanyl. Not any amount that he was going to ever take at one time. He just swallowed a fucking large amount, right?
It's like so lethal. Like,
that's the thing, right? So Vaush can make the argument of, it's not actually a lethal dosage, dude. It's like it doesn't matter. It's a very large amount. It's more than George Floyd probably has ever taken in one go, right? It's like someone who takes cocaine, right? And then somebody swallows a baggie of cocaine. All right, it's a big difference between someone who's like used to snorting and somebody who just swallows a fucking bag of cocaine, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the issue with the cops here. And I said the same thing with like the Breonna Taylor situation, where I was like, look, if the cops are issued a no-knock warrant and told to go to someone's address, and in actually doing the no-knock warrant, they bust down someone's door, someone shoots at them, and they fire back. It's tragic if somebody dies. But is that the police officers committing murder? And should they be charged with a homicide and go to prison? No. Like, there's no justice being served there. What you want is just vengeance. It's not justice. You want vengeance. You want someone to suffer and someone to pay, regardless of whether it's justified or not. Right? I look at the situation with George Floyd, and I say, well, I think the cops should know better. I don't think that cop should be a police officer at all. But like, I think the entire department needs to be looked at restructured from the ground up, and the training needs to be redone entirely. Okay, because whether or not it was a lethal dosage, the way the cops handled that situation was completely wrong. Okay, it was wrong. It was very wrong. And there is a point where George Floyd stops moving and he is begging for his life. The cop should have stopped. Okay,
yeah.
that's the thing. Depending on how it was, fentanyl is kind of iffy, anyways, isn't it? You could be taking a fatal dose thinking it was just a regular one, or am I thinking of something else? I mean,
I just know that it's like it's really, 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 really fucking potent. Like,
okay. I guess the easiest way to say it is like Steve, right? If the two of us are going to buy weed, right? I shouldn't say it on stream, but if the two of us are going to buy weed, right?
Yeah,
no.
Let's hypothetically buy some milkshakes.
Okay. And we're about to be busted, right? And I know it's not the same thing. If you swallow weed, it doesn't give you the same effect, right? But the amount of weed that we buy in one go to smoke later is not the same amount that we would take all at one time, right? I know weed is not as lethal, but the point is, George Floyd probably had enough fentanyl to take in multiple sittings, right? Not to all take it once. He probably got himself a baggie, right? And was planning on using it here and there, right? Something to last him for like a few days. Like most drug users of any type of drug, they don't buy a single dose. They tend to buy multiple doses. That way it keeps them going for a period of time. Now, if he's about to be busted,
you also get it cheaper. Like, it's just like any other business. Like, it's going to go, price is going to go down.
You buy them both, you get it for less, right? Like if I buy an ounce or I buy a couple of ounces, I'm going to get a lower price, right? So the thing is,
like $20 to $40 sometimes. So like, it just makes sense.
Bitch, I bought more than that. But
I'm thinking of like different brackets, but like.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. But my thing is, like, if you're going to buy a drug dose, right, of any kind of any amount, you're not buying the kind that you just take in one sitting. You buy stuff that's going to last you for a little bit of time. So when George Floyd was about to be busted, he probably swallowed his entire supply all at once, right? Because they didn't find any on him. They found it in his system. Okay. And given that he was out and about, I doubt he just taken the fentanyl right before the police officer. I doubt he just taken the fentanyl and then later the police officer showed up. It sounds like he swallowed a fuck ton of fentanyl, more than he was used to taking, and his body couldn't have it. He was probably having an episode. He was probably freaking the fuck out, tripping balls, whatever you want to say. And that's why he was asking the officers to hold him down, because he was probably going on an insane fucking trip.
But like fentanyl wouldn't make you trip though either. Fentanyl's like a painkiller. Like it's just gonna mellow you out.
But it's like when you take an edible, right? You get that like kind of like body high.
Yeah, but like weed is
okay. But put it like this, right? Let's say like you take like a half a cookie, right? To me, it's not a hallucinogen. I've never like hallucinated taking weed before, but I know some people have. But
I think that's where the paranoia comes from, is what I mean. Like, that's usually when people trip out. I don't know anyone who's tripped out on opiates. They usually just get really tired and pass out, and like it feels really good, like your body just feels nice.
I know what you're saying, right? What I mean is like if you take a fuck ton of that amount all at one go, it's not the same as taking a small amount that you're used to taking. So he was probably feeling very, very different. And at the same time, he's being arrested, which is probably building up his anxiety. It's just a bad combination. It's a bad combination to have. And he took, and I mean, that's my point. But he was shouting, "Hold me down, hold me down, hold me down." He was probably having not a good reaction to the amount of fentanyl that he took. Oh, hey, what's up? What's up, Senpai?
Senpai.
Steve. Oh, the bromance between you two is so cute. I swear to God. Senpai, did you know that Steve has ranked you higher than Leafy?
Yeah,
that is a true honor. Yeah. Okay, but like that's my point, right? So I still think that the police officer has something to play in there because look, man, if you don't have the good judgment to understand that when the guy stops moving and is begging for his mom, that you need to stop. That is on you. You should never be. I don't know if you should go to prison if the police manual is training you to do this shit. But I do think that you should not be a police officer anymore because clearly you cannot exercise good judgment.
I'm
Nope.
saying
Individual acts of malice.
these are the tips of the iceberg with these two, you know. But if you actually look at the history of black people in this country, and this is what people are fundamentally angry about, because people don't go out and protest because one thing happened. Nobody does that. It's always the accumulation of a large number of unfortunate events. And when you look at black people in this country, if you take a look at average household income or average like schooling quality in your neighborhood or the continued presence of redlining, which hasn't changed in 70 years, and all these things building up, and it's actually the
I mean,
product of this
redlining is
incredibly
illegal, but
complicated network of interconnected systems that a lot of which aren't even being managed by racist people. A lot of it is just the system is stacked in a way that if you were once disadvantaged, you'll still be disadvantaged. And black people sure were disadvantaged a while ago, and that pattern's continued. And that's the underlying sentiment. And that's, I think, what people really want to address.
Here's
okay, I have an issue with that because there are people who come to this country with absolutely nothing, and they wind up being extremely successful. So if you're telling me that because you're historically disadvantaged, you can never grow out of it, right? I don't agree with that because like my family came from a different country, right? My uncles came from a different country, could barely speak the language, had no money to their names, and I mean, just tell you right now, they became excessively wealthy. My cousins run their own business, right? And I'm just saying, like the argument that oh well, you're historically disadvantaged. Well, yeah, so are immigrants who come to the country, but they're somehow able to do it. That you have a problem within that community, and I don't know what that problem is, but it is not a case that they are just historically disadvantaged and they can never grow out of it.
I agree. I mean, like my grandparents came from both different countries with like nothing to their name, and they made it fine. Like they lived comfortably. I'm not going to say that they were extremely wealthy, but from going to like $4 in your pocket to being able to like raise a family of 3 in a 3-bedroom house paid for, like that's you can't. Yeah, no, I agree with you completely. Like
okay, actually, Rev wanted me to look up this case, so let me do that real quick.
What is this case? This is the case of
Ottoman Zem or Otto Zem. All right, let me switch over. This is on Wikipedia, so I've had issues with Wikipedia sourcing before, but probably just the easiest way of looking this up. Otto Zem, October 31st, 1969, was born, died March 20th, 2006, was a man with a developmental disability from Spokane, Washington, who died on March 20th, 2006 during an altercation with police officer Carl F. Thompson, Jr. Zem committed no crime, and on May 30th, 2006, the Spokane County coroner ruled the death a homicide. In 2012, the first several officers on scene at Zem's death was convicted of excessive use of force and lying to investigators and was sentenced to 51 months imprisonment. Okay, so how did he die? Worked as a janitor and did not own a car. Had gone on foot to an ATM at his bank to withdraw money from his account. 2 young women who were in a car at the ATM when Zem arrived erroneously reported to police by phone that a man was attempting to steal money from the ATM.
So what happened? This guy was stealing money from ATM.
No. He has a developmental disorder. He went to an ATM. He was on foot. And these women who were there in their car called the police on him and told the cops he was trying to steal money from the ATM. The women followed Zem in their car while reporting additional information to the police dispatched by phone. Zem next entered the convenience store that he routinely visited to buy a soft drink and fast food. Video from the convenience store security cameras show that within 16 seconds of the officer Thompson entering the store, the officer had run up to Zem, whose back was initially turned to him, twice ordered him to drop the pop and baton Zem to the ground. The first of at least 7 baton strikes used on Zem, including strikes to the head. With another 16 seconds, Zem had also been tasered. In addition to multiple beatings and tasering, Zem was impromptu hogtied by police and placed on his abdomen for more than 16 minutes. Furthermore, the police requested a non-rebreather mask from paramedics at the scene and strapped it to Zem's face.
So, when did this happen?
This is in 2006. I mean, that just sounds like torture.
Well, so where was the riots in 2006?
Huh?
Well, how come no one rioted then?
Well, I mean, look, obviously, I think the advent of social media has changed a lot of things because organizing happens a lot easier nowadays. But, you know, if this happened today, I think people would be outraged because you have someone with a developmental disorder. He goes into a store to buy a drink and some fast food. The cop, within 16 seconds of seeing him, runs up to him, beats him maliciously with a baton, gets him to the ground, tasers him, and puts him into a hog tie, and then straps a non-rebreather mask, a device used in medicine to assist in the delivery of oxygen therapy. An NRB
defibrillator,
well, it kind of helps you breathe. But unlike low-flow nasal cannula, the NRB allows for the delivery of higher concentration of oxygen. So it sounds like they gave him that because he was having trouble breathing. But you see my case of excessive force and police brutality. But that to me is excessive force, right? The stuff that happened with George Floyd, the thing is, I don't know any police manual, and this is the issue with the George Floyd case. In the manual for the cop, it trains the cops to kneel on the back of people's necks, which is, to me, sounds fucking insane, right? But I don't think that there's any police training out there that teaches somebody to run up to somebody who is unarmed, who is not resisting, and whack them repeatedly in the head with a baton, taser them, then hog tie them on the ground for 16 minutes. Like, I mean, I'm glad the cop went to prison. I'm really glad the cop went to prison because that just, man. Yeah, he was, the feds tried him too. Damn, good. Civil case. Yeah, 1.6. I mean, that's not going to bring him back though. Thanks for sharing that story, Rev.
That's like, insane incident though.
That's insane. But like the George Floyd thing, you know, we don't have any of the context, and the context was purposely left out for people, right? So they could all go insane on this story. It makes it sound a lot worse than it actually is.
Here's the issue. I agree completely. I did a documentary on blockbusting, redlining, Pruitt-Igoe, St. Louis, all that stuff. And the issue is racialized policies, and that's not the answer. That's not what's going to solve the problem. It's become a class issue because we've removed the racial component legally, but now we have issues of, okay, you changed the law. We made redlining and blockbusting illegal, though it definitely still happens. We've changed those laws. Now, how do we address the actual inequality? It's a class-based issue. So what ends up happening now is you get the likes. This is what really bothers me about you create Black Lives Matter. I think it was created from Trayvon Martin. It was following Trayvon Martin.
Obama, yeah.
And then people counter with All Lives Matter, which instead of being a unifying thing, becomes a adversarial thing. Then you get all Black Lives Matter, and then you get Blue Lives Matter. Blue Lives Matter probably came second. And instead of people saying like, let's work together to solve all of these problems as friends, we get my issue is the issue and you're wrong and how dare you, and everyone just points the finger at each other saying how dare you.
The issue is that all lives matter types don't really have an issue. They're just counter protesting Black Lives Matter. If the all lives matter thing was a legitimate effort to try to de-racialize a broader class issue, I think that it would have turned out very differently. But we have to be clear, that's not what it was being used for. It was being used to say like, oh, you say Black Lives Matter, well, you're implicitly suggesting mine doesn't, so all lives matter. So it's a counteraction.
This is the point I'm making. If you have an area, say like Ferguson, where it's predominantly Black, but there are white people who live there, you're cutting out people based on race, and it makes people angry.
Well, what policy are you referring to here? Because
I'm just talking about the slogan. So for me, growing up on the South Side, it was a very mixed race area. You had white people, Black people, but there was a segregating line, 47th Street. I watched the cops brutalize everybody. I watched the cops plant drugs on whoever. I watched white people die of heroin overdoses, or I shouldn't say watch, but I've had friends who died of heroin. And so you then start, you start talking about Black Lives Matter because of brutality, and then you're going to get a bunch of poor people. And of course, there are more poor white people in the United States than poor black people. I'm not saying proportionally. I'm just saying the hard number.
More white folk, yeah.
Well, so right, exactly. So what ends up happening then is you create a movement that tells someone we are not focused on your problems, we're focused on their problems, and they say, but what about me? Everyone's going to say, what about me? And I think that's a simple solution to addressing all of the problems.
This is my thing, though. The All Lives Matter thing was not made up by poor white people who are trying to get that solidarity. It was made up mostly by Republican counter protest. Like the All Lives Matter thing was in a effort to try to broaden the net.
Anytime you bring race into anything, you're being racist. Like, to say that like one race's lives matter more than the other, or just be like, to just say that blatantly, like, oh, Black Lives Matter. Like, of course people are gonna be like, well, yeah, obviously, but like all life should matter. No?
Well, I mean, you say that, I agree with it, right? And I think that's
but I'm
the
white.
issue with...
I'm not allowed to say that.
No, you're not. Shut up, you filthy white boy. No, but like, look, I think the issue is, right, when it comes to like the Black Lives Matter versus the All Lives Matter crowd, the Black Lives Matter crowd is saying that they're talking about Black Lives Matter because they see Black people as the one who need the most help in society today, right? That is their issue. That's their cause. And then they see the All Lives Matter people and they look at them and they say, you're demeaning our movement because you're not acknowledging that Black people need help, right? The All Lives Matter group says, no, we're saying that all lives matter equally. So they just wind up talking right past each other, because the Black Lives Matter group says they're not saying all lives don't matter. They're saying right now they don't feel like you're acknowledging that Black Lives Matter, that you're not addressing their concerns, right? And the All Lives Matter group says, well, no, we just don't want to make everything about race. All lives matter. And it's like Tim was saying, it becomes adversarial. And Vaush is like a key example of that happening, right? Because the All Lives Matter people do not see it as them just being jackasses to the Black Lives Matter group. They don't.
But he does
Vaush,
for some reason.
Yeah. Vaush looks at them and he says, it was started by Republican counter-protesters, and they're not really actually trying to address any of the issues. Okay, well, yeah, that's called just demonizing another group, right?
Just because like someone says something that's logical and that you're being like, well, but they said it though, so they must mean this. It's like, no, it's a fucking.
I mean, yeah, that's literally just your interpretation, right? Yeah. I mean, I kind of get where he's coming from, in the sense that like it's not like he's making a stupid point, but it comes across as an inherently very stupid point to be making. I guess is the nicest way to refer to it.
Because we're trying to be nice now.
Statistics: All Lives Matter was made by Republicans to counter all Black Lives Matter. And if you saw All Lives Matter instead of Black Lives Matter, you're a misogynist, bigot, transphobe, racist, and many other nasty words. Oh, say not so. I got where you're coming from, Geeky.
I think you're in a bubble, man.
I really don't think so.
I was in Cincinnati.
But I can tell you, even if that wasn't the case, though, even if I were to accept your premise, back in the civil rights protests, the original ones, there was a slogan that was used pretty frequently amongst the Black folk marching. It was, "Am I not a man? Am I not a person?" And to me, when we're saying like, well, Black Lives Matter, you're leaving out the white people who are poor. This sounds to me like if a woman of that era was to walk up to a man with that sandwich board over his chest and say, well, I'm not a man. What about me? I recognize that the language
There's more than just two races.
But if you pull back, you recognize the Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, I know, but they don't really tend to acknowledge that.
Even if the language may suggest some sort of exclusionary focus on Black people, the people marching out there and the policies proposed by BLM advocates are generally very, very progressive when it comes to class-based issues and class-based solutions. And they also protest white folk getting killed by the police or Black folk getting killed by Black police too.
Your analogy, I don't believe fits what we're talking about right now. If you had, Black people in the civil rights era saying segregation is wrong, we need equality under the law, and we're also talking about getting rid of miscegenation laws. Those were actual laws in place. What we're talking about right now is, are people facing injustice at the hands of police, and are people facing disadvantages in life based on class and wealth issues? The answer is yes, it affects everybody. So why would you choose to exclude somebody? If we go back in time, and we're talking about civil rights, and a woman went up to, a civil rights activist who was black and said, well, what about me? It's like, I'm actually fighting for something that has nothing to do with you. Whereas today, you do have white people, Latinos, Asians, and everybody who have faced injustice at the hands of cops.
I meant a black woman. If a black woman went up and said, like,
Oh,
well, I'm not
right.
a man. But like with the exclusionary thing, I guess from what I've seen from BLM advocates, the protests, the movement, and even the organization, which is far to the left of what the general BLM actual marcher believes, I guess I just don't see these exclusionary tendencies. Even if we were to believe there was an exclusionary element here outside of the mere language of the movement, there are racialized elements of this disparity that can't be solved just with class solutions. It's like if 100 years ago you put all the black folk in Section A and all the white folk in Section B, and then 100 years later you're like, oh, well, I'm really sorry about that. So anyway, people in Section A make half as much as people in Section B. I'm sorry, that's the law. No race mentioned, just what neighborhood are you born in? And the breadlining and the distribution of wealth has reflected a distinct racialized oppression in this country that I think we can solve with race-neutral policies, but we must acknowledge that it exists.
But Black Lives Matter isn't advocating for race-neutral policies; they're advocating for racial policies,
like
racialization. Like so, for instance, in Seattle, they're doing POC and non-POC separate events. At the University of Michigan, we saw the non-POC and the literal neo-segregation popping up in response to this movement. And the most notable thing and shocking thing to me was California's proposition, I believe it's Prop 16, repeal Prop 209, which would strike the civil rights language from their constitution.
I want to be specific about those two. So the POC, non-POC separate thing, I don't really think that this is like an official BLM thing that's being pushed for. I think that's woke crap as well, by the way. I don't think that you can make an argument for it, provide a safe space, whatever. I don't think it does what it's supposed to.
As an independent, I mostly agree with Vaush in this case.
Sure, yeah,
fair. Like I said,
like what BLM wants.
I disagree with his point here, but I don't think he's saying anything to try to be an asshole. Okay, I think he actually believes in that statement. It's just I disagree with what he's trying to come across with it, right? It not in the sense that Black Lives Matter doesn't have a legitimate grievance, but I disagree in the way that he's trying to frame it as All Lives Matter is just a counter movement to Black Lives Matter started by Republicans. I don't like that, right? Because that's like, I've listened to the All Lives Matter people. That's not what their point is. Now, but the problem is they're talking past each other. I'm talking about the Black Lives Matter group and the All Lives Matter group. They're talking completely past each other. And when I listen to the All Lives Matter people talk to the Black Lives, that's factually true. Okay. It's a counter movement to Black Lives Matter started by Republicans. Specifically for what purpose? Okay.
Why does it matter? Saying all lives matter. Saying all lives matter is factually true. So, like, I don't know what the fucking.
No, but that's my point. The All Lives Matter people are saying all lives matter equally. Well, the Black Lives Matter group is saying we understand, but we're saying is we don't feel like you're acknowledging that Black lives are not valued the same in society. That would be the perspective for both groups.
So, like, if a Republican put a bag over his head and said these words, you disagree with them?
What?
Like, if it's all about, like, okay, if the person's saying this and you're, like, looking at who is saying it opposed to what's being said, then I don't know. That seems dumb to me.
I mean, like, I get what the purpose is to stop them from protesting. No, like, Matthew, that's what I'm trying to say. If you talk to the people that actually say all lives matter, what they feel like is you're not valuing all lives equally. What you're saying is specifically Black lives are the only ones that matter. Where Black Lives Matter says, no, that's not what we're saying. We're saying you don't acknowledge that Black Lives Matter. It's just two groups talking past each other, right? And Matthew, I'm not trying to be disrespectful here. I feel like you're doing the same thing, right? You're looking at the All Lives Matter group and you're saying, well, that's just Republicans and they just want to stop people from protesting because they don't. I feel like you're just talking right past what they're saying, just like the All Lives Matter group talks right past what the Black Lives Matter group is saying, right? I doubt that the Republicans started All Lives Matter to stop them from protesting. Like, it wasn't going to stop them from protesting. And look, what is their goal then? Their goal is to say that all lives matter equally. I just told you. I mean,
stop looking at race completely, maybe.
Dude, like literally, Matthew, see, this is what I mean. I just told you. I literally just told you. Their only goal in saying that is to say that all races matter equally. Everybody deserves equal treatment. Okay? That is their goal. That is why they say it. Okay? And the Black Lives Matter group are saying, we agree with that, but we're saying that Black lives are not treated equally. So you have both groups talking past each other. Okay? That's literally all their goal is. Now, do I think Republicans are more likely to say all lives matter? Yeah, duh, like 100%. There's no argument there. Babe, are you really taking my charger?
Stealing it.
Yeah, she totally is. Good night, Deadpool.
Black Lives Matter.
And no one is saying, okay, so, and no one is saying anything different. Oh, hold on. Why is my mouse not?
The mouse has decided to die.
No. It's just like not letting me highlight a different comment. There we go. All right. And no one is saying anything different. No, but no one is arguing that the races should be unequal. Matthew, stop right there. Stop with that thought. Okay? Stop with that thought. I am saying that both groups agree that all lives matter. Both groups agree with that statement. The disagreement is that the All Lives Matter group does not think that Black lives are not equal. The Black Lives Matter group thinks that the Black lives are equal, but it is not treated that way. That's why they say Black Lives Matter. Okay? But the All Lives Matter group is saying that Black lives are the same as everybody else's life. But they're not acknowledging that the grievances that the Black Lives Matter group are trying to bring to the forefront. And they're not doing it because they're evil Republicans and they just want to stop the protest. No, they literally don't see any difference. That's why they say all lives matter, because they don't see any difference there. But then the Black Lives Matter group looks at it and says, no, you're not acknowledging these things because you don't value Black lives. And there you go. Both groups talking past each other. Neither is being evil. Neither is saying that one group is better than another. They're just talking past each other at this point. And Vaush is doing the same thing because he said, it's just a counter movement started by Republicans because they don't like the protest. I mean, and you, Matthew, like, you even came in here to say, like, well, what is their goal? I've told you, like, multiple times, right? It's not me being a dick. I just mean, like, I think it's so easy to fall into that trap. With the All Lives Matter group, it's so easy to fall into that trap. Hear Black Lives Matter and think, no, all lives are equal, all lives matter. And that's so easy for the Black Lives Matter group to fall into that trap where they hear all lives matter. They go like, no, Black lives matter because they're the ones who are not being treated equally. If both groups could just sit the fuck down and talk it out, maybe they could come to some sort of common goal, right? But I don't know, because I looked at that group in Utah, right? BLM activists, but their goal is silly. No one is arguing that. Okay, but that's the thing, Matthew. Someone is arguing that. Black Lives Matter is arguing that Black lives are not treated equally, and All Lives Matter is saying, no, Black lives are just as equal as everybody else. There you go. There you go. That's the difference. The All Lives Matter group are saying that everybody's life is equally valuable. The Black Lives Matter group is saying Black Lives Matter doesn't mean all lives don't matter, but Black lives are not treated the same. I'm going to have to move on. I've explained it to you multiple times, buddy.
I'm surprised you even do that. Like,
I
if it was
engage with
my
the
stream, I'd
audience.
just ignore him. I'd say one thing and ignore the rest. I mean,
Well,
unless you got like another point. Do you have another point? Other than it's just silly.
Well, I agree that the whole argument between both groups is silly, right? It is silly because they agree on the basic premise that all lives matter. The difference is, but the data shows Black people are consistently given worse opportunity, housing, employment, education, healthcare. It's not even debatable.
Okay, where's the data then?
Well, I mean, yeah,
so
okay,
no Black man can be wealthy in America. I mean,
no.
Kanye West.
It's a percentage thing, right? In terms of percentages,
Okay.
Black people don't get the same sort of things that other racial groups do. Right? I don't think that's incorrect to say that, right? Now, what actually stops that from happening? Is it really oppression or is it issues within the community? Right? I think that it's probably a bit of both, right? I think it really is. No, Matthew, I'm not even going to argue the fact, like, dude, my wife's Black. I understand the argument very well because believe me, she makes it a hell of a lot better than someone dropping comments on this video or on this stream. No disrespect to you. It's just I understand the argument. I do. My only point in bringing this up is to say that the All Lives Matter group and the Black Lives Matter group, they don't disagree on all lives mattering. It's just the words that they choose to use. Anecdote Andy. Is that me? Is that me? Aw. I think he's talking about me. I get the argument. I'm not disagreeing with the argument, right? I'm just saying, like, this is
you being married to a person of color is anecdotal. I'm guessing is what it means.
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. But I'm just saying, like, I understand the arguments for Black Lives Matter. Jasmine is pro Black Lives Matter. I listened to her talk about it. I completely understand the argument, and I don't even disagree with it. I'm just saying that when people say all lives matter, they're not saying it to demean Black Lives Matter. And when people say Black Lives Matter, they're not saying it to demean all lives matter. But both groups hear the other one saying it, and they think the opposite is being said. That's the issue.
I don't mean like these little events or soirees, which may have like these weird elements that are kind of like misappropriated woke culture. What I mean is like broadly, how are we fixing this multi-trillion-dollar economic?
Thank you, Kurogane.
We have. Yeah. And when it comes to the California thing, I'm mixed on this. The reason they're doing that is because the language of their law prevents them from implementing affirmative action the same way other states in this country do. It's just optically, it looks terrible. Like, wow, California gone so woke that they're getting rid of civil rights, and it looks terrible. And I recognize that. I don't know if I support it.
If it was a civil rights, if it was an affirmative action amendment as they claim it was, then they would have amended it to add language protecting affirmative action instead of stripping all civil rights from the Constitution.
They still are. They have to adhere, of course, to national law regarding
that would require federal intervention. So California is paving the way for internally. So for instance, California legalized medicinal marijuana when it was federally illegal, and then complained when the DEA would go in and raid. If California strips away the civil rights language, thanks to unanimous support from Democrats and federal Democrats, then they're going to start implementing racist and racial segregation policies statewide.
Like what?
And then specific programs saying no to this race and no to that race. I mean, if you're talking about affirmative action, we can start with that institutional racism outright.
Do you think that affirmative action is an inherently wrong thing?
I think it's an institutional racism.
Sure. Well, do you think it's wrong?
Personally, for me, yes, absolutely. Okay. And that's because I come from a mixed race family. So I've already experienced being a second-class citizen from groups aligned with whatever you want to call it, intersectionality or whatever. It's not fun. I believe it flies in the face of everything my grandparents fought for in terms of civil rights. They were a mixed race couple. It was illegal. They faced prison time over this, and they had to flee several states because of it. My mom was born before civil rights and Loving v. Virginia as an illegal person, like wasn't allowed to exist in this country because of miscegenation laws. They're bringing these things back.
I don't think they're bringing back miscegenation.
No. They're bringing back. I'm talking about they're stripping away the civil rights law. They're bringing back segregation.
I really, given the reasons and the multilateral support that this proposition have received, the idea to me that they're removing a specific California set of policies to then become the most racist state in the nation, even though they're equally beholden. Because let's be clear, once California removes these laws, they're going to be at the same point a lot of other states in this country are. Other states in this country also rely on a set of federal protections when it comes to discrimination in workplaces and what have you. California is going to be in equal standing with them. I think we're being really uncharitable when we assume that they're doing this as part of a step one to, like, you know, bring back like racism in this country.
Well, it is.
I mean, well, it depends on whether or not you think affirmative action, something which is already done in a bunch of other states.
Yeah, it is racist.
Sure, but if that's the case, then let's not pretend that California is like backsliding past the civil rights movement. Let's just acknowledge that they're, I guess, awkwardly moving towards the implementation of policies that a bunch of other states already have. I think I'm 50-50 on affirmative action. I think that's, like, conceptually it disgusts me, you know? But on the other hand, like, if you think about it, in certain neighborhoods of like Los Angeles, for example, where I grew up, if you get like a college admission or college, application, sorry, from a black person to a white person, you don't know anything about these two people apart from what they send you. Statistically, the black person has had to work harder because their neighborhoods, on average, are way worse. Same with worse schooling.
This is actually a really good point. It's really funny when we hear, what was this? There was something about they wanted to do blind hiring because they felt like names were. I saw a post on this on Facebook actually. People were advocating. It was leftists saying we should get rid of, you know, your names and your address and let people choose based on what their, you know, what their merit is and blah blah blah. Well, they didn't say.
Oh,
merit.
did this backfire? I'm gonna guess this backfired.
Their concern is that white.
Are you
culture,
talking about?
You know,
wait, are you talking about the civil rights thing in California?
I'm talking about the blind hiring process, like, and assuming that it's going to bring in a more diverse demographic into your workplace. Like, I think if you hired solely based on qualifications and stuff, then it would, depending on the business, like, you would probably get a majority of one demographic just because that's how people are. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to disagree with you there. I guess the only way I could actually refer to it is, you know.
But in the leftist mind, they think that it's like people excluding other races when it's really like, well, no, it's just like this person may be more qualified than this person.
And no, I guess the argument is they're saying, like, when you have an application with that are equal. I know that's really hard to actually say, well, what is equal, what isn't, right? But the argument is that when you have these two applications, right, and one has the name, you know, Sean Smith, and the other is like I don't know, like Deshaun Williams or something, right? And they go, well, the name that sounds black is the one that they're going to reject versus the name that sounds white, right? That is the argument. Okay, I don't know how true that is. Okay, I'm not going to argue the point or not. What I will say is, like, in the situation of you know, Jasmine's pointed this out to me multiple times. Her hair, right? They say that the type of hair she has is not professional. And she goes, there's a lot of professional black women who will straighten their hair because that is what is deemed as appropriate in society, right? And she goes, I don't want to do that. And it's hard to find businesses that don't look at a traditional black hairstyle for women and see that as being unprofessional because what they want is straight, kind of like white people hair, I guess is the easiest way of referring to it. Now, I don't know how you fix these issues. I don't. I think a lot of it just comes down to, as a society, we all need to kind of try to embrace each other's cultures a lot better. But these are not things that I think you can fix with under the law. I don't think you can force these things to be fixed because, you know, we already have civil rights law. We already have laws against discrimination, you know. Hold on. Discrimination in a low-wage labor market, a field experiment, American Sociological Review.
Yeah, because he said there's a study done saying that, like, black applicants were half as likely but equally qualified as whites to receive a callback for a job offer. I mean, how can someone be equally as qualified as someone else? Like, down to the T. Like,
No, I mean that's the thing, though, right? I don't know how you actually measure it. Now, he's saying that it is in that study. I think the appropriate thing to do would be actually read the study and look at their data and see if there are any counters to that study. And if there are no counters to that study, then you should actually listen to that study. Now, if there is somebody who actually does have a counter to it, I think you also need to read that and make the best decision that you can. Right? I'm not familiar with it, so I'm not going to say that it's false. I guess is the easiest way of putting it. Affirmative action is a joke. There are very well qualified minorities to do a job as anyone else, but to fill status quo because of the lack of minorities in qualified positions is a goddamn joke. I completely agree with Rev there. But like Matthew, I'll put it like this, right? The argument of the wage gap between men and women, right? There are many studies that prove the wage gap exists, but I know that when you actually take a look into those studies, what you find is the general thing that comes down to what jobs are people actually taking. Well, when you factor in the jobs for men and women and you put them in the same field, there is no actual wage gap anymore. Okay, so it's very easy to get a study to say what you want it to say. That's why I would actually want to look at it and read the data behind it. Now, am I going to argue that Black applicants do not get the exact same treatment as white applicants? I would say no, right? And the general reason why is because I do think there is an inherent bias between just about any group, right? Put it like this: if I was looking at a store run by Arabs, right, and they had an Arab applicant apply to them, and they had a Chinese applicant apply to them, 9 times out of 10, they will choose the Arab versus the Chinese person because it's someone within that same group. Now, if you take a look at a lot of these companies run by white people, who do they feel more comfortable with culturally? Probably the white person, right?
Well, less chance for them to offend the other minorities. Like, I don't know how crazy they made the names on these applications here in this test, but like, if I have two applicants who are exactly the same, I can't read one of the names and I can read the other one. I might choose the other one just because I don't want to offend the other person by pronouncing their name wrong. Not saying that that's right or anything. I'm just saying like that might be the whole. I
think
might not be like I'm gonna keep these out of my company.
No, I think you're right. I think in the sense, and I'm not saying that that is the right way of doing it. I think that a lot of people tend to go with the person that they can relate to easier. And unfortunately, if you have someone white doing the hiring, they're probably going to relate to the other white person a lot easier than they would to someone of a different minority. Racial background. It's the same thing with politics, right? So I'm a conservative guy, right? If I have to choose between hiring 2 people, one's a conservative, one's a hardcore liberal, and they have the exact same qualifications background, I'd feel more comfortable hiring the conservative because I can talk to that person and not have to worry about offending them, right? Is that the correct way of doing it? Probably not. Okay, but now take it from the issue of like race or cultural background. I think you will see that happening, right?
But, okay, so like let's say there wasn't such a pushback from these minorities. I'm not saying that it isn't justified or anything, but like if people in those positions didn't feel so, like I'm trying to figure out the right word to use here, but they wouldn't be as worried to maybe mispronounce a name or do something that is culturally inappropriate and just because they can learn and move forward than now where it's like if you misgender someone in Canada, you can get fucking fined for it. Like obviously.
Okay, so that to me is just wrong entirely. Crow's of Judgment, you're sounding left-leaning. I mean, the idea that everything I say is going to be completely right-wing is insane. Like I have a very diverse point of view on things. I'll be honest with you, in 2016, my preferred candidate was fucking Bernie Sanders. And a lot of it had to do with, he said some shit that made a lot of sense. And I appreciated the take that he had on gun control, which was it's an urban versus rural standpoint when it comes to gun control. People in the city have direct access to cops and they don't feel like they need guns. And people in rural areas will call the cops. It will take 30 minutes for them to arrive and they want to have their guns. Nowadays, Bernie Sanders is completely insane. And he's backtracked he's backtracked on a lot of the shit they used to believe in, as far as like when it came to, the millionaires and the billionaires. And now it's just, the billionaires because I got $1 million now, I mean,
I want to go after the billionaires. I have one now.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. But right, and I get what you are saying. What you are talking about is implicit racism. One solution is to discourage it culturally. Yeah, no, I disagree there. You can discourage it. I think we do discourage it. I don't think that anyone can go out there and say, I will 100% only hire white people because I'm a white guy. I don't think there's anybody who would say that today and not just get lambasted and crucified for doing it, right?
Of course.
But at the end of the day, they are not going to say that. They're just going to do it, not because that's what they're thinking in their heads. It's just because when they look at both clients and when they look at both applicants, they go, well, I just relate to that guy more, right? And I feel more comfortable with that guy. Does that mean that they hate the black person? No, it means that they're culturally, we have not gotten to that point as a society where everybody feels equal. It does feel like you walk around on eggshells within certain groups, right? Because you don't want to say something to offend someone, right?
Well, that's kind of what I mean with like, that might be the whole eggshell thing might be another reason why a person might feel uncomfortable hiring someone that wouldn't be able to even pronounce their name.
I mean, like, at the end of the day, I think that people tend to gravitate towards people within their own groups culturally, right? So men will want to work with men. Women will want to work with women, right? Is that to say that only men want to work with only men and only women want to work with? No, but as a general statistic, yeah, I think men feel more comfortable working around other men because they're not as afraid about saying something that will offend the other person, right? And they feel like they can relate to that person more. No, Matthew, I'm just not a fucking idiot, okay? I'm not doing this implicit racism thing. Racism implies you feel like somebody is inferior, okay? That the direct definition of racism is that you feel that someone is inferior based on their race. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that as a person, you feel more comfortable within your own cultural group. Most people feel that way. Like I was saying, when it comes to Arab people, they want to be around other Arab people. Okay. When it comes to black people, they tend to want to be around other black people because they can relate to them more than they can relate to someone outside of their group. Does that mean that they look at someone outside of their group and think that they're inferior? It has nothing to do with that. And changing the word to be like, that's implicit racism, explicit, there's nothing racist about it. It's just people tend to feel better around people of their own cultural groups. Men tend to feel better around other men. Conservatives tend to feel better around other conservatives. Women tend to feel better around other women. Right? It's not an argument of, oh, they just feel the other group is inferior, because that's what racism actually is. And if you're going to define racism being something that it isn't, I'm just going to fucking ignore you, because I'm not going to change the definition of words to fit some sort of weird cultural fucking dynamic that's going on now. It's not what it is. Okay. But I don't know how you bridge it as a society when everyone is screaming that the other person's fucking racist, because that's not building any bridges. That's not bringing any of these groups together. When they're just worried that you're going to call them a fucking racist, they're just going to go, I just don't want anything to do with that. That's not going to get them to hire more black people. That's going to get them to say, I'm just going to avoid the black people because I don't want to be accused of being a racist by saying the wrong thing. These are hard discussions that everybody needs to have. But if you're willing to throw around buzzword of, oh, you're racist because you don't feel this way, you're not going to do anything. You're not going to solve any problems. Why are you getting mad? I tend to rant, dude. Just get over it.
He gets annoyed by dumb shit.
But like, dude, it's this issue where you're going to say that like people are being racist and this is racist and that's racist. There you go. It's like the argument. Yeah. For reverse. It's like the argument of reverse racism. Look, there's racism and it's racist, right? If you won't hire a black person because you think black people are lazy or something, that's racist. If you're just going to hire the white guy because you feel more comfortable around other white people, I don't think that's racist. I think it's a cultural problem. And I don't know how you solve that by saying, well, if you don't hire the black, that makes you a racist. Then they just don't want anything to do with anybody. Okay? And they're going to want to avoid people of other minorities because they're worried about offending that person, being accused of being a racist. And then, especially in the terms of like a workplace environment, you have a lawsuit on your hands. So you're not solving anything. I like this. Reverse racism is when you back over a racist with your car. Matthew, that was hilarious. But buddy, I'm not disagreeing with you in terms of like, I think I agree with you in the sense that when you have majority of these businesses run by white people, they're going to be more comfortable hiring other white people. And I don't think that's good, and I don't think that's healthy. But I think the issue is we actually need to go back to being a melting pot society, not a society where we separate the mashed potatoes from the peas and the carrots, where we say, yeah, I like mashed potatoes just as much as I like my peas, but I don't want them to touch each other. That's icky. I feel like that's, I know it's a weird analogy, but I feel like that's where we are as a society, where we say, you know what, all these groups are great. I really don't like it when they touch each other. Right? That it feels like we're segregating ourselves, and I don't think that that's healthy at all. Fuck, dude. No, buddy, there's one type of racism, okay? That's all I'm going to say. There is one type of racism. Attaching racism onto other things that are not racist isn't solving the problem at all. I think you make it worse.
What are these like sub-racist things? Like you got your
Right.
racism and then your umbrella racism.
Yeah. Rev agreed with me. Holy shit. I'm just kidding, buddy.
I think
I know.
Rev agrees with you on more things than you think. It's just like people don't really voice when they agree with
I know. That's why I love Rev. Honestly, I really do love Rev. And Rev, I'm 100% serious about coming on Sunday. I do feel bad because we've had really good conversations before, and Rev definitely like keeps me in check on a lot of shit. There is not, lynching a person is not the same as system producing a racist outcome. No, racism means one thing. There's only one type of racism. If you want to say it's a racist outcome, no, it's not a racist outcome, because the outcome is not sitting. The only way it's a racist outcome is the outcome was decided by someone feeling that a person of another race is inferior to them. Okay, so we're unfortunately, Matthew, at this point we're done with the conversation because we're not going to come to any sort of agreement on it, and I'm going to move on with the video.
You already did this. It came back to it.
Because we only have another 24 minutes, and obviously I don't want to watch the entire thing with you guys because I do want you to check this stream out on your own. I only wanted to dig into parts of it, but I think for the most part we're doing pretty good.
24 minutes of the stream, or of
mainstream American
what
culture
we're going to be on.
We'll wrap it up at like 3 hours in.
They actually found, there was a study that found the opposite, and it's actually exactly what you said. If you take a person, statistically on average, a white person's more likely to have family wealth, more likely to grow up in a wealthier suburb, less likely to have encounters with police for a variety of reasons. And then they're going to have a resume that says, I went to this school, I went to this school, I went to this college. Whereas people in the Black community, Latino community are going to have less.
On average, yeah, because they've had to put up with more historical.
And so you end up with a racial disparity. But I don't see how that being said, I don't see how the solution is affirmative action or racializing.
Well, I completely agree.
Yeah.
And that's why affirmative action is at best a stopgap. And you could argue maybe it makes the world slightly more fair.
I think it makes it worse.
Well, you could argue in a consequential sense, because personally, when I think who deserves to get this spot in a college, who deserves to get that job, I think of how hard they've worked, what effort has been put in, what is the, in a consequential sense, what is the income to outcome there. And affirmative action in some cases helps. In some cases, it actually quite hurts people when it comes to that, especially with the treatment of, say, for example, Asian immigrants in Los Angeles, UCLA, the negative affirmative action points that they get, because a lot of those students are sent over here from wealthy families in China, and you get this really complicated situation. And ultimately, we can avoid all of this, and I'd love to avoid all of this, if we just put more effort into addressing the underlying racial disparities in this country. But nobody wants to do that.
Which would be what
real anti-redlining policies and reparations, not on race, it gets messy, but on class. Because if you were poor 100 years ago and white, you had it better than if you're poor 100 years ago in black, for sure. But there are still issues you can fix across the board, and that way you don't get a lot of really messy racial politics that might otherwise have felt like, what do you do? Like, you test people's blood, you know?
Exactly.
You're right.
I see. I mentioned this at the start of the stream. This is actually one of the points I agree with Vaush on, in terms of treating problems based on an economical status, not off of one of race, right? Because I respect the argument that when you take a look at who is at the lower end of the spectrum, it's a higher percentage of black people than it is of white people, just percentage-wise, not numbers-wise, because the fact is there are more white people in this nation than there are black people. So obviously, whatever percentage sorry. So whatever percentage there is, you're going to just have a higher chunk of white people in that group. But if you treat the issue from an economic standpoint, then you are inherently benefiting the black community there who are at the lower end. You're also benefiting everybody else who is at the lower end. And even if that helps the white people at the lower end, I don't care. I feel like everybody at the lower end needs help, right? And they should be treated equally, and they should be helped out equally. But I think he makes a good point there. Now, I don't agree with the idea of reparations because, at the end of the day, if you just give someone money, that doesn't do anything for them. Okay. Now, giving them resources that they desperately need is different from just handing them a check.
Yeah, that gets really, really messy. But nobody wants to do this. I mean, Republicans, Democrats, neither of them want to do this.
How do you feel about? Oh, sorry to interrupt, man. How do you feel about universal basic income?
Yeah, I think so. As a socialist, my one contention is my concern would be that universal basic income would assist in perpetually commodifying the standards of life. I don't want people to have the money necessarily to afford medical care or food. I want those things to just be available to people, with that wealth maybe being divested to or diverted to like luxury goods, that sort of stuff. But I think that like right now in this country, this is me like picking which two beautiful, delectable fruits I want to eat from a tree. If we could get UBI in this country done properly, like a good UBI, absolutely. And that would go a long way too to fixing the situation poor folk are in.
So we got two routes to go. I definitely want to talk about UBI, socialism, etc. But I want to make sure, because we were originally talking about Antifa and right-wing violence. So going back to what we were talking about before, with Antifa on the far left, we have people engaged in violence consistently. I mean,
if we look at the death count,
but what is that? I mean, that doesn't change the fact that someone gets bashed over the head with a brick.
Sure, but I think that generally speaking, if we're looking to quantify the amount of violence done by any given number of groups, the fact that we've had historic racial protests in this country with Antifa involvement at some of these protests, and I think we have one death, and it was that 100% Antifa guy who was in Portland, I believe.
Well, you had the security guard who shot the guy in the face.
That guy wasn't Antifa.
No, he was just a Bernie bro, but he was there. But he was there as an unofficial security guard.
Sure, but he wasn't operating the capacity of like a revolutionary protester. He was there, and I don't know the circumstance of the death, but he wasn't like Black Bloc. You have that, and the fact that there's only been so and so much death from these groups, I think, when we're looking at over the past 10 years, hundreds of deaths from the far right groups, indicates something. Whether that indicates the far right group uses more lethal methods,
Yes.
guns as opposed to bricks, I'd be willing to bet that. Antifa don't carry guns for the most part.
Except for that one guy.
Right. Yeah, every once in a while, But when you see a far right militia group, these people are not carrying flags and bricks. These people carry firearms. But I think that ultimately, discussions on stochastic violence are distractions from greater systemic violence that I think that we all need to pay a greater level of attention to.
I think if you got the left and the right in a room and talked about the opioid crisis and pharmaceutical companies, they're gonna agree.
Yeah, I genuinely agree with that.
The problem for me is, man, these guys in Michigan, I don't care what you want to call them, lock them up. They're plotting a kidnapping, whatever it is. They're staking out some governor's house. The courts had already won in Michigan. The legislation ruled her powers, they stripped her powers from her. The courts ruled unconstitutional. Mm-hmm. And then the AG said, I will not enforce any of her laws. And these guys were plotting for what reason? Like, the system we built, it worked. And so these guys were nuts. They got caught. The FBI staked them out, locked them up. Congratulations. But when we look at Portland, when we look at Seattle, when we look at what happened in Chicago, in the Pacific Northwest, we get what is like 140 nights now. That's a bit unfair because it's simmered down quite a bit. But we had a sustained period of about 90 or so days where it was just riot every single night, explosives being thrown. And when these people would get arrested for doing things that were like serious, like you had cops who had like burns, cuts, lesions. They would
get protesters who did too.
And well, for sure. But I mean, so I'll get to that. You have these people getting arrested, and then the DA, Mike Schmidt, says, you're free to go. So it was so bad, the state police said, what's the point of being here if they're getting released as soon as we arrest them? And they left.
Good question.
Well, Trump came in and deputized them, then later deputized the police, and now the feds are dealing with it. So death is the worst possible outcome. and we have Michael Reinl, who killed that Trump supporter, and that is extremely horrifying. And we didn't get mass national press coverage about it.
Wait, which instance is this?
Michael Reinl, the guy in Portland who said, we got him right here, and then he fired 2 shots.
We don't know if it's horrifying because he never lived to see trial. He was murked by
That's
Trump.
no, it was definitely horrifying, and it was definitely horrifying that he got killed.
Death is horrifying, but I mean, like, we didn't even get to see a trial there. Like,
you're right.
And that's something that the right doesn't really experience, by the way, too. You know, you have you like Fort Hood, for example. You know, you treat these people with kid gloves, but that guy outside the house, apparently, according to like a bunch of eyewitness testimony and the conflicting narratives of the police who were there, he didn't draw a gun. They just saw him.
Well, I'll tell you this: there's
shot
conflicting witness statements,
but only with minor variations. The vast majority affirm that the cop story isn't true. That he did not draw.
I read that there was a witness who said they saw him drawing, but I'll tell you what, it doesn't matter. You know why? Because even if we have witnesses saying he did and he didn't, Trump said twice. Oh, he was at a rally. He goes, they knew who he was. It took him 15 minutes. They didn't want to arrest him.
Retribution.
And the other time he said it was retribution, and that's messed up. I'm trying to avoid swearing.
No, I saw you tweet that, by the way. When I saw it, I was
yeah.
very happy to see that.
The president claiming that we should just get retribution and go kill people. No, we want that guy on trial so we can hear everything about him and make sure we know who he is, we know what he's doing, we know why he's doing it.
To me, it shows to an extent fear as well. If you are confident in your case, legally speaking, you want them to stand trial because a trial is a years-long, prolonged shaming of them and everything they represent.
Right.
Whereas them being murdered, martyrized them, the only reason you wouldn't want that is if you were concerned that a trial would bring out information or would be inconvenient to you in some way.
That's why, look, I think I'm not a big fan of trusting the government, but we've got a couple we got a couple statements, and it just seems like inconclusive. I mean, I'm not inherently going to distrust the cops who are there. I'm not inherently going to trust them either.
Inconclusive is the best you can ever get when it comes to conflicting witness testimonies.
Well, so to my point, just because sometimes one group of extremists kills people doesn't mean we ignore the other group of extremists.
Oh, I'm not arguing that. Though I will defend a lot of the protest violence that's been taking place. I know, and this is contended among a lot of conservative circles, but I think an economist recently estimated that the damage done to the Black community in this country could be monetarily represented by a figure of like 14 trillion. And that's one estimate, of course.
But it's just political. I mean, how do you actually estimate that?
Of course, you know, there are different methods and methodologies. I'm not an economist. I can't fact check him. I know there are lower estimates as well. But we know this, you know. In the United States of America, for the longest time, the western reaches of this country, they didn't have roads and they didn't have electricity and they didn't have phone lines. And through an enormous expenditure of federal wealth, we put effort into bringing that infrastructure westward because the investment brings about more educated people, encourages the development of more land, which allows for more people to live there, which means more money. And we're facing now the same issue, albeit in a much more sophisticated way, with a lot of poor communities in this country, a lot of which are Black or Latino, where we now know these communities are black holes of wealth. People will make fun of this. Like, why give money to the schools? It's a black hole. We could invest. We could prevent that from being a problem.
But there are more poor white people than poor Black people.
Sure, and we should invest, absolutely. But there are specific elements of Black poverty.
To be fair, I think you already said reparations on class, not race, anyway.
Yeah, I get it. There are some elements that are heavily racialized. There are studies, for example, about the criminal justice system.
I'm sorry. What did Rev say here? Why does this feel like a cuck stream of the quartering? Rev, what are you talking about?
You think like the quartering is trying to be these two, and he's
no. You know what? I just realized Vaush is the fucking left wing version of the quartering. In terms of looks.
Quartering
in terms of looks. Yeah,
he does look like quartering.
He does. He's like a hipster quartering. Like, I'm not saying like they're the same person. They're arguing from like a mirror inside of each other. I just mean like he looks like a fucking left-wing version of the quartering.
Trade in those glasses for a hat, and you'll be that's the quartering.
Right, dude. I'm never gonna get that image out of my head now. That's too funny.
We should face mush them together.
So we got like 4 or 3 more minutes, and then we're at the hour mark. Guys, if you like this stream, I suggest watching it full. It is 4 hours long, and they cover a lot of stuff. But look, I inherently disagree with a lot of the things that Vaush has said, and I agree with some of the stuff that he said as well, right? I don't think he's an honest person in the way that he chooses when he chooses to debate somebody, right? Like when he debates someone, I think that he can be one of the most dishonest people around. And I'm saying that because like I watched him debate Destiny. And in that debate with Destiny, he said that if he thought a mob wanted to kill him, he should surrender to the mob because he doesn't want like because it was in relation to the Kyle Rittenhouse thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean that's my argument with this guy. I think he made some good points on here. I also feel like he was intellectually dishonest as all shit at other points, but I feel like on this stream, especially because it's not a debate, he was not. Like I think it's a good I think it's a good stream to watch. I think Tim gives good pushback on a lot of subjects, and I think Vaush at times he's willing to be honest, and at other times he's just going to lie through his teeth. But he did bring up some points that I do agree with in terms of treating things from an economic standpoint instead of from a racial standpoint. And you know, before we even started the stream, I brought up a lot of the shit that Vaush has said in the past that is ridiculously fucking racist. Okay.
Yeah. I forgot about that because it's been so long.
Yeah, and you know the thing is, do I think that that's because he is a racist? No.
I think he's just trying to say shit for fucking views.
I think he just has some. Well, yeah, I think that, but I also think he's incredibly ignorant too on a lot of these groups that he wants to talk about. You know, saying that his audience, I get he's being sarcastic or whatever when he says, as everybody knows, I'm black and my audience is black, and as black people, like I give everybody the N-word pass. Like, no, you don't. And then running around and using the N-word, I don't care what justification you had, don't fucking do it. Like I'm right wing. I completely agree with freedom of speech. I think you have every right to say it, but I'm also not an amoral jackass, and I'm not going to fucking use the word. Like when I hear it in a song, I don't sing along to it either. It's just me. It's how I grew up, right? And I've been called that word too, and I don't want to give it any more power. But you know, is what it is, I guess. Anyways, guys, if you like the stream, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Obviously, we didn't get through the entire thing. It's 4 hours long. There was no way we're going to get through the whole thing. And I wouldn't want to steal another person's content by just watching every single last thing they did, you know, for 6 hours straight. Go check it out for yourself. Watch it. Have your own opinion. Maybe you'll change your mind. Maybe you'll agree more with what some of the things Vaush was saying, especially without my commentary on it. But again, everybody, we are giving away technically we're giving away 4 copies of Cyberpunk 2077. The winners will be announced on January 1st, 2021. All right. 3 copies will be given to our subscribers in a special raffle. All you have to do to qualify for this raffle is drop a comment on any of the videos that we post on this channel between now and December 31st, 2020. All right. Very easy thing to do. But we have one goal that we need to hit, and that's we need to hit an additional 200 subscribers. Right now, when we started this, we were at 1,030 subscribers, right? Meaning we need to hit 1,230 subscribers between now and between now and December 31st, 2020. And we will give away.
If you don't hit them?
If we don't give it, we will not be doing the giveaway.
Except.
We will give 1 copy away to our Patreon members. The Patreon members is a much smaller list of people, okay? To become a patron of ours, go into the link in the description of this video. It is $1 to become a patron of this channel. And we will give away 1 additional copy specifically to our Patreon members, regardless of whether or not we hit the subscriber goal. So,
and then you can unsubscribe, and you got Cyberpunk 77.
Shut up! Don't tell him to do that shit. Don't tell him to do that shit.
No,
right,
guys, you gotta keep them. You gotta keep them, bro, with your personality. You gotta woo them over. You know, get them in with Cyberpunk, and then you keep them with your personality.
No, I'm just gonna do giveaways every 2 months.
Oh, okay.
The next giveaway is gonna be Steve's beanies. We'll give away Steve's
Like
beanie
beanies?
collections. Yeah.
We can give a couple away. I'm not giving them all away.
What is this? Oh, a very SJW of you. Am I doing raffles? Wait, are raffles an SJW thing? Oh, I guess
Oh,
I'm an
no,
SJW
we-
because we're doing raffles.
I
Well,
think
or
because it
is-
says you mischaracterized his position. Vaush's
What?
position, maybe? I don't know.
oh, on what?
I don't know. Life? Everything?
Oh, because I said that he's intellectually dishonest. I mean, he is. Like, I watched this guy on his own stream argue because he was arguing against what Kyle Rittenhouse had done, and Destiny asked him, "Hey, if you..." And we're not arguing whether or not they are going to kill you. I'm asking you, if you are being chased down by a group of people and you believe they have the intent to kill you, would you defend yourself or would you submit yourself over to the mob? And he thought about it. And he said he would submit himself over to the mob because he feels what Kyle did was wrong. To me, you are intellectually dishonest because there's no sane human being that would turn themselves over to a group of people that they believe wants to kill them. That's suicidal. So I think he
You
is a
don't think
very
that'd be
intellectually
smart?
dishonest person. No, I think that is insane. I already told you I would not let people put their hands on me if I thought they were going to hurt me. Like that, you know?
Well, yeah.
But
Nor
again,
should you.
But hey, here's the non-SGW thing of me. Go watch the entire stream in full without my commentary. It is 4 hours long. We just barely did under an hour of it. And there's a lot of content there. You should watch it in full. You should take your own opinions on it. You should look into the things that are being said, and you should come to your own opinion on it. You know, obviously, we can only introduce you to certain topics. I know a lot of the people who watch this channel are very familiar with who Tim Pool is, and a lot of people are very familiar with who Vaush is. But watch the entire thing because, you know, Vaush comes across very differently when it's not a debate, when he's having just a conversation with people. And I do think it's better for actually understanding someone's points of views when you can just listen to them talk versus, you know, listening to them in debate where it's more like a gotcha session. I think conversation is the best way of having it, right? I really do. I think it's a lot better than having a debate. I'm okay to debate people, and I've debated other people, and it's usually been a pretty good time. But I think having conversations with people is always going to be better for getting everyone's viewpoints across. And that's why I think this was actually really fun to watch. Curse of Judgement, bro, you being unbiased, you fucking sick or something. Rev, I love you, buddy. Thank you for that. All right, everybody, thank you so much. And to the Patreon members who, you guys, if you're already on our Patreon, you are already enrolled in this giveaway for one of these copies of Cyberpunk 2077. Those names are Rev, Alexa Graham, Luna Karenina, Geeky Pixie, Steve DeLive. Steve,
Not me. Take my name off the list.
Yeah, I'm gonna take
you
you
gotta
off the
veto
list.
me. Get me out of there.
Don't worry. Kat Thomas, Julian Cyan, Dagger, Ali, Mr. Holmesley, War on Corruption, Katie Imbro, Lauren S., Ravenous Hound, Chris Anonymous, Jonathan Morello, Origami, Maria, and Della Huntanero. I'm also going to remove Origami from that list, but if I'll put him in the drawing, and if I draw his name, it just means I'll have to give him a copy too, and that'll just be as a friend gift for Christmas.
Where's Aura been this week?
He's actually been doing a lot better.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. He's just been getting a lot more rest. He's got a lot more personal stuff he's got to deal with. So, like, dude, you know, he put in so much work on this channel. Matthew, you should attack ideas, not character. It would make you. I mean, I did attack his ideas, and you didn't really have. You were pretty upset with me doing that too. So.
I mean,
you seem to take issues when I attacked his ideas too.
That was literally what we were telling you when you were saying, like, "Oh, well, conservatives came up with the all lives matter thing." I'm like, okay, but like, listen to what they're saying, not me saying it.
Matthew, buddy, thank you so much for the entertainment on the stream. I really did appreciate the conversation that we had. But like, there's these things, and they're actually really productive to mankind. They're called mirrors, and I suggest you look in one for a very long time. Love you too, man. But hey, stay tuned. Like I said, if you want to be a member of the Cyberpunk 2077 raffle, I know you probably don't like me, but subscribe to the channel. Drop at least one comment. I'll put you into the raffle anyways. And you can show up and you can disagree with me every single time. Rev here, like, I love Rev. The two of us disagree on a lot of shit. We agree on a lot of shit too. But I'm more than happy to always have these conversations with people in the commentaries, in the comments section. I enjoy our chat. Our chat's generally very friendly too. And I think if you stick around more, you'll actually have a lot of fun. So hopefully we see you here again for another stream. Anyways, guys, that is it for the night. We'll be back on Sunday. And I hope I feel the love tonight. Thank you guys. All right. Good night. Feet peace out. Yeah, James Soroka is a fucking creeper. And